Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm La Ubaga. A Nairobi lawyer was last evening shot dead in a drive-by attack on Langata Road in Nairobi. Police reports indicate the victim, identified as Advocate Kialo Mbombo, was gunned down by an assailant on a motorcycle shortly after 7:30 p.m. The lawyer was reportedly driving home when the attacker pulled alongside his vehicle and opened fire before speeding away. He is one of the witnesses to the incident, known as a private security, Jeff Mwiha.
Kama saa 11 tukielekea na 40 nikasikia nje kama mlio wa pikipiki huwa zinatoa sauti fulani twa. After kusikia hiyo fire burst nikasikia nduru watu wanapiga. Nikaambia wenye tulikuwa na watu wanapiga nduru ni nini? Twende tuone kwa barabara. Kufika pale hiyo gari nayo ilikuwa imegonga Nissan. Sasa mama walikuwa kwa hiyo Nissan tukawauliza ni nini? Wakasema wameua mtu hapa na wao watu wametoroka na pikipiki wameenda. Wale mama wakawa wanalia pale. Sasa tukaona mapolisi wakaanza kukuja. Wenye walikuwa kwa gari wanasema walikuwa watu wawili. Wakati alishoot alikimbia tu na kukalia yenye ilikuwa tayari pale juu. Kufika tunapata mtu ameshika tu steering, mtu wako smart, anatoka job, amefanya nini? Amekaa ameenda.
Well, Mbombo was a practitioner in commercial law and also taught and wrote widely about the law of evidence. He taught it so well, and Mbombo was also the chairman of Political Parties Disputes Tribunal. The tension between the police department under the leadership of the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, and the Police Service Commission may disrupt the registration of new recruits for various police departments in the country. The confusion arose especially after it was revealed that the funds allocated for the registration of the 10,000 recruits were distributed to NPS instead of NPSC. The tension also dominated the sessions of the National Administration and Security Committee after the Commission confirmed that it aims to place an advertisement for the recruitment registration exercise tomorrow, with those who will be successful registered scheduled to report to training camps on November 17th. Appearing before the committee, NPSC Chief Executive Officer Peter Lele says the Commission had requested a budget of 379 million shillings in the 2025-2026 allocation, but was only given 75 million shillings.
The advertisement is proposed to be published on 11th September 2025, with recruits targeted to report to the training college on 17th November 2025.
Once we retreat, we are going to come up with the dates and the roadmap for that recruitment.
Jeff Kirui KTN.
Inspector General Kanja told the committee that the two institutions will hold another consultation meeting to agree on a date and guidelines for finalizing the registration of new police officers.
Under Article 245, giving command functions to the IG, and under 245, giving now the HR functions generally under the oversight of the National Police Service Commission.
The system is designed to curb corruption, enhance fairness, and guarantee equal opportunities for all applicants, thereby strengthening public trust in the recruitment process and contribute to a professional, modern, and accountable police service.
And finally, more university lecturers have called off their industrial action after reaching an agreement with the University Council and are expected back in school today. University's Academic Staff Union Branch Secretary General Dr. Busolo Wekesa says both parties negotiated on several issues that they had raised and agreed to resolve them on an issue-by-issue basis. The SG noted that the council agreed to withdraw the redundancy letters that had been issued to the members of the staff. Both parties also reached a consensus on the call for the promotion of 56 dons who had been interviewed in December last year, and also for the university to review the statute on the appointment mode of DINs as before. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
102.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu. following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, staki kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can't run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust.
For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing.
They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human, everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, staki kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing.
And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.
Morning. Yeah. So then after that.
Yeah? After good morning.
Yeah.
Morning to you.
Very good. How are you this morning, Dennis?
I'm good. How are you?
Nico Salama.
Okay. Today you're matching.
Matching what?
Your pop play and your lip play. You decided to match.
Your what?
Well, your pop play dress and your lip play.
What are you doing?
That's French.
Oh, okay.
For you're in purple and your whatever you have applied.
I like it very much.
Is the mouth a muscle? Now that you are into digging fun facts.
The mouth is...
It's a muscle, right?
Well, no. The mouth... So the mouth is not just one thing. The mouth consists of...
Is the lips muscle?
No, they're not.
It's not a muscle.
No, it's just soft. It's tissue.
It's just soft tissue. Okay. Nakomea hapo kwa sasa.
Wacha tukwetu hapo. But your jaw, which makes a part of the mouth, is a muscle. So your jaw muscle is here.
So here, that's muscle.
Yep.
But this is soft tissue.
It's tissue, exactly. It's tissue.
So the muscle is holding the soft tissue.
Exactly.
Okay. Supporting it.
Supporting, exactly.
Okay.
Why are we talking about this again?
Because it's matching.
Oh, because because my lips are matching my shirts. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Ndu. Okay. So you're fine this morning, Sindio. We established that.
I'm very fine.
Okay.
Are you?
Me, I'm okay.
Are you here?
To an extent.
Good.
To an extent, I'm here.
Good. It's good to confirm. You don't start pressing buttons there.
Kumbe, or you think you're alone, or you think you're with somebody. Kumbe, you're alone. Let me tell you, it's very hard to scare me, like woo, and then like come out of the woodwork. Very, very difficult to scare me. But today...
Who scared you?
So I walked into the building, and then I came upstairs, as I normally would, and the lights in the newsroom were off. So I'm just doing my thing, talking to myself as I normally do. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm crazy. I'm just telling you, how
You're talking to yourself.
Let's forget about that.
Just you're walking through darkness. Okay.
Focus, Dennis.
Okay.
Then out of nowhere, I heard, hi. And this thing that says hi to me is wearing white. I knew it's over. As in, I stopped in my tracks. I'm not a split second when you think, okay, I can't run.
You're from Niger, you're forgiven.
It was done. I couldn't go forward.
So you had a voice. Then you turned.
I had, how all these actions happened at the same time. Mm-hmm. I saw, heard, felt, all at the same time. And in my head, I knew, all right, I've not written a will. They're taking me. I've not when I need to talk to my family member. All of these things happened. You know who it was?
Mm-hmm.
Salome.
Salo.
Salo. Out of nowhere, this chick, I almost asked her, Auntie, what are you doing in the darkness?
Are you sure you're talking to her?
Spooky Sally.
Yeah?
Spooky Sally.
Where was she? Behind you?
God in heaven knows. At this point right now, it's only God who knows. But I said, I never get scared. But today, as we say in Nigeria, my heart cut.
Yeah. Yeah, it's typical. Now, do that as a movie script.
Isn't it?
You know how in Hollywood they convert anything into a script into a movie?
Yes, somebody can enter this bottle.
Like you walked into an office. Or even a song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you walk into an office, everything is dark. And then it's the sensors, right?
Huh?
So as you're walking, the sensors didn't.
The sensors, that is why today because I normally when I walk in, the sensors go, when you walk in, the sensors go on.
Yeah.
They didn't go on. The sensor was Sally. Spooky Salome. Spooky Sally.
And I've noticed, she always walks into the studio, touches these lights. There's something.
Remember how I started this story?
Yeah.
I don't really get scared. You can't spook me, boo me. This one today. I had to come
We'll need an explanation on all of these findings.
to tell us what's going on.
Yeah, you and lights. What is it? Mulikosania wapi? Ama are you good friends?
And then she's in white. Well, now that we've established that everything's okay, and EVE has a spring in her step this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen? She'll come and she'll do it just now.
Okay. Okay.
It's 18 minutes past 6 o'clock. This is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. We're on Wednesday, or September 10th. And looking into the conversations that we are going to have today, let's tell you what some of those will be. Sawa. We've established that Dennis Okari is okay, so the world is going to be a better place. And we continue to say prayers for Dennis Aseto as he continues to write his exams. Nespa, that's the real French now. Whatever you were trying to speak earlier, I'm sorry, Okari, was not French. Sawa. Mm-hmm. But I can teach you if you want. Just a few words. Say bonjour.
You can fake it. You can actually fake it.
This one you can't fake it till you make it.
You can't, huh?
You can't. Let me tell you what we're talking about.
My phone is black. It's not. Can't see the light.
So you put the light on.
No, I can't actually.
So you increase the brightness.
I'm trying to go there, and I can't even locate the place.
Ask Sally.
Sally, what did you just do?
You need light.
What's going on? No, seriously, look.
No, Sally needs to. Because so you're the people who turn your phone down the brightness really low, isn't it, Abby?
I don't remember doing that, but anyway, I'll figure it out. But it's now that we... Please, let's not have a conversation and talk about light and Sally in the same sentence.
Okay, it's over. All right.
Yeah.
Ruto at 3. Nairobi Gubernatorial aspirant Tony Gashoka is going to join us at 7 o'clock today. We're going to be talking about promises, performance, and a public verdict. He'll join us at that hour. The 3 years into the Ruto administration clocked just a couple of days ago, and we'll have that conversation with him. Today's Wednesday, so today's Baraza is a health Baraza, and the healthcare question has been lingering. And there have been many things about it. You know, we're asking questions around SHA. We're saying, but there are so many other issues within the health sector. Mm-hmm. And we want to bring that conversation into our Baraza today because we must talk about them. Yesterday, we talked about the care that you give at fragile stage of life. Before that, the day before, we talked about people who claim to be doctors who opened up a woman and she died and they took off. We talked just a few days ago about, careless hands on people in a hospital setting. What really is the state of healthcare in the nation at the moment? And we're going to be looking into that for a while. And our Baraza comes to life at 8 o'clock with Dr. Brian Lishenga, who is also the chairman of the Rural and Urban Private Hospitals Association of Kenya. This is RUFA. RUFA has also given a notice of an intended strike over non-payment of the services that they offered across hospitals in the country. So there's just too many moving parts in this health crisis at the moment. And yes, I've called it a crisis because look, unfortunately, that's what it is. So we'll be looking into some of those. We'll look at the public health sector. We'll also look into private health, and we'll also then look into medical care needs, right? So that takes up our conversation between 8 and 10. And of course, it's with participation from you as we do that today. So we'll get into it, and Karibu Sana, even as we do. Is there light at the end of the tunnel?
We're talking about light, huh?
No, we're still talking about light on your phone now, so maybe you can give us the proverb.
There is. So now I can locate the
now
proverb.
You can locate the proverb.
Did you watch the news yesterday? What was happening yesterday?
Good Lord.
Internationally? So
Israel is deciding, let's do crazy things.
Some Hamas leaders in Doha.
People in which country were they?
Nepal.
Taking the minister through the streets. I mean,
the Gen Z decided to protest.
And
they decided to burn their parliament.
Did they burnt parliament, burnt media houses? Said, you know what? Kaende Kawat?
Wait.
This was all yesterday.
Yeah, all yesterday.
Yeah.
Just because they banned the prime minister banned the social media.
They said, what?
You know, I followed.
We will burn it and put it on social media.
You know, I followed the story, and I couldn't just understand how it is that the people who get into leadership and you detach yourself so much from everybody else. Like, look, so you're insisting Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, they need to open the companies and hire locals in your own country. They need, they need to register as companies in your own country. So only I think one complied. So you decide, okay, you know what? I'm going to ban this thing. So the whole country can't access YouTube, can't access X, can't access Instagram, can't access, was it TikTok or what? So there's a shutdown. Then Gen Z akasema, what?
We'll ban it. We'll ban you. And then we'll put it on X.
They marched to their state house.
Yes, they did. And they removed people and then undressed them and paraded them in the streets.
Yeah. And 26 people were killed in that protest. The prime minister was like, you know what, I resign.
Yeah. Imagine, didn't even think twice.
Same day. Like, thanks. You know what, I'm going.
Thanks, I'm okay.
Because these guys are coming for me.
I'm okay. My friend, people said this power, we take it and we use it and put it in our hands. For you to see.
Crazy things are happening yesterday.
My friend.
Then you come to Kenya. Before Kenya in Ethiopia, there was a video that was doing rounds. Somebody was massaging our president's back shoulders. Hey, like in social media. What? Then kidogo like this. Whoa, there's a lawyer who's been shot somewhere.
I'm telling you. Before the night ended, life had been lost. And then all of these things that we're talking about happened between 8 and 8.
Did you ever watch the 24 series?
Yes.
The following takes place between 8 p.m.,
8 a.m. and 8 p.m. That is it. That's what we saw yesterday. It was crazy.
Can I go to our proverb?
Let's go to the proverb.
So we are in Egypt still. And our proverb today, without wasting too much time, a monkey in his mother's eyes is a gazelle. A monkey in his mother's eyes is a gazelle.
Okay. This is all coming from the assumption that a monkey is not a preferred animal, but okay, I can see what they're saying. Excuse me, that in the eyes of those who are closer closest to you, they see the best. So imagine what a gazelle does. It's smooth in its movement, and it barely touches the ground when it moves. It's graceful. Isn't that what they say? Graceful as a gazelle. And the way in which you move, its beautiful skin, its fur and all of that. And if you look at the face of a gazelle, it's actually quite appealing to look at. So the way it looks, the way it moves, the character that it imbibes, is something worth wanting or aspiring for, right? And so also when you think about a monkey, you think mischief, you think, okay, just annoying, sit over there in the corner kind of thing. But that's in our mind. So it doesn't matter how you appear, those close to you, or even like the one who birthed you, will see the best in you no matter what. So can we see gazelles in monkeys regardless, if those are the characteristics that we choose to define them by? Wow. No matter what, can I see a gazelle in anybody, in everybody?
Can you see beauty?
Can you see beauty
in people?
Absolutely.
Interestingly, there's if we take this literally, whenever there's a mention of animals and you're connecting to Egypt, you must then go deeper and find the symbolism, because in Egypt there are quite a number of things. Like, how when you read the Bible, there's the story of Moses going up to the mountain, and then Aaron and the rest of the children of Israel got to a point where they're like, this guy's not coming down. This God, we abandoned here. So let's create our own God. And what do? Aaron decides to get all the gold from everyone. So women are giving their necklaces, bangles, chains, rings, whatever. They melted the gold, and then they made a calf. So they made a calf god. So when you think of a monkey, in this case, the symbolism, the monkey had a very strong cultural, spiritual, divine symbolism or significance, because animals are not just animals back then. I don't know about now, but the baboon or the monkey, the monkey, especially the baboon, is tied to divine order or daily life and even the afterlife. So the Egyptians closely associated monkeys with a god called Thoth, Thoth. So this is the deity of wisdom, writing, and the moon. Very interesting, huh? Very, very many. So baboons were seen as creatures that greeted the rising sun with their cries and gestures. So they became linked to what they call Ra, the sun god, and a lot of other things. But to go to the interpretation, how they say love is blind. So every mother was a child. You're a mother, I'm a father. Every parent, when you're seeing your own child, you then don't want to measure the success or the value of your child with the world standards.
No.
So even if your child is hashiki kitu kwa class, like you get that report card, this is 34 out of 34 in the class. You will still look at your child and say you're the best.
Absolutely.
You're the most intelligent child in the world.
Yeah.
There's the words that you're speaking to this child. So this monkey, to the parent, it's gazelle. You're beautiful.
In the order of that kingdom.
Yes. Even if kichwa imekaa, imeenda hivi, keleo kesho iko hivi, ni mtoto wako. So the child is beautiful. And so the thing is, you can see flaws in other people, you can see pain in other people, you can see the unattractiveness or the imperfections and the weaknesses that people have. But when it comes to your very own, you never call them out. They're perfect in your eyes.
Absolutely. It just reminds me of just last week, we had this gentleman who spoke with us on Friday about his life in crime. And one of the things that he said to us is that, look, he's being in OCS is telling his mother, huyu atauliwa. Huyu either alale kwa jela for the rest of his life or atauliwa. His mother used to say, munawekelea mtoto wangu.
Yeah.
She sees the best in this. And she knows that this man is a criminal. But she's telling them, apana.
Mtoto wangu si mwizi.
Mtoto wangu si mwizi.
Yeah.
Imagine.
By the time a parent comes to admit that this is who my child is or what my child is, ngumu sana. The mother will always defend the child.
To the end.
Yes.
interesting one. And let's see what folks have to say about that, even as we get into it. Wacha tusalimia watu leo asubuhi. Good morning. Indeed, it is Baraza Wednesday. Evie, did we say good morning to you? No. Good morning. And Kristen is making things work in the background over there. Thank you very much, guys. Even as we get into it, we say good morning and thanks for keeping the wheels turning. Don Sabo says good morning, Ndu Okari, and we will say Aseto good morning to you as well. We know he's tuned in, so just see you even wave at us, bas. Hata kama unasoma from Tiani. Ndu, ask Okari. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
How are the Shah millionaires? Especially after a big showdown stirred by the CS Health. Any presser coming soon? Those are 3 questions.
Not that I know of. And how are they doing? I have no idea. I'm not one of them.
Okay.
But I should assume with all that money in the bank, they're living large.
Bas.
Yeah.
They should be happy.
There are no problems. Only solutions.
Only solutions. Jutukonape?
Pesa.
Saseni says, good morning to you. And also tuned into the room this morning is Peter Kiaria says, good morning from Mombasa. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God stands forever. That's in Isaiah 40. Indeed, it is. And then good morning, Robert Tobogo tuning from Mombasa. Lillian Mongare tuning from Kikambala. Izakale says, good morning, Spices. So Sakaja has survived impeachment for 2 months. I guess that's Nairobi's longest running infrastructure project so far. Indeed. I also hear Nepal's Gen Zs have played him a good one. Proper.
Mm-hmm.
They've played like them. They have. Linus Gitonga is tuned in this morning. James Kamau says, wow, I finally made it early this morning listening in from South Sea. Good to have you, James. Good morning to you. Paul Njeri says, good morning, everybody. And Boaz Nalianya says, good morning, tuned in from Kitale. Kisa Daniel is in Atiak in Uganda and says good morning. Isaac Nderito is tuned in this morning from Luxembourg. Celebrating my birthday in the Situation Room, the place to be. Happy birthday to you, Isaac. Leo says good morning, Princess Ndu and Dennis. When are we launching the biggest geothermal power plant in Africa? Okay. I don't know. Soon. Hey, soon. Pan-African Kenyan says good morning from Nairobi. Jennifer Tenny says, good morning, my darlings. Well, good morning to you, Jennifer. Thank you so much. Patrick Mutinda is tuned in. Everybody at SpiceFM. Jimmy Gakeo is tuned in. Team Spice. Team Spice all the way. Indeed. Jennifer Tenny says to please pass my special greetings to Leah Ubaga, who blesses my soul every morning. Leah, you're blessing people's souls, sister. And Jennifer says, good morning. Jimmy Munothi is also tuned this morning and says, good day. Gola says, good morning, Spices. Otherwise, how do you answer that question? Mm-hmm. When people greet you and say, otherwise, you say, Nico too. Mm-hmm. Imagine when you look at the language, that answer can never be an answer to that question. Otherwise, the answer should be, otherwise what?
They're very unique expressions in Kenya.
Absolutely.
To nearly everything.
Yeah.
So otherwise is actually a greeting.
It is a greeting.
When somebody comes with some news, whether the news, especially if the news is shocking, the reaction is like, where?
Or even when somebody says, yeah.
What?
Yes, you should understand exactly what I'm saying.
Where?
Yes. Where?
Where is like shock and disbelief.
Where?
What?
You see? Eric is tuned in. Erica Homo tuned in from the beautiful Kenya Hills. They are indeed beautiful. My princess, it is true. We are not a country, we are a plantation. Good morning, everybody. Kokoriko. Mutuflani, you are a rooster. Let me tell you about roosters. Remind me to tell you tomorrow about roosters. You guys will remind me to tell you tomorrow about roosters. Good grief. Mashari and Njeri was tuned in this morning. Ndu Okari, good morning. It's depressing how public money is being spent by Ruto and company. Ooh. Esther Wamboy is tuned in this morning, listening in from Komarok. And Tibbs Muge says, good morning to the black capitalists. Be aware that you can't black business your way out of imperialism. Nani. Duke, good morning. Special beautiful scenes in Nepal, you say manifesting. Okay. SpiceFM, let's talk about our ignorant leaders and what they could learn from Nepal. Melbourne, knock knock. We are asking who's there. Tell us who's there. Mwangi, man with two first same names. Good morning, countrymen and women. Streaming live from Saudi Arabia. Dr. Venvik is tuning from Tudor in Mombasa. Paul Njehia says, good morning, Queen Ndu. Leo nimekuwai. Greetings to the Dennises. Sasa yoni nini? Nimekuwai.
Nimekuweza.
Okay.
This is the same person who yesterday was saying, Nimeweza.
No. It's not the same person.
So it's a different person. Okay.
So I'm just confused, but it is okay.
I need to give context before we misinterpret things.
Very fast, please. Morris and Dati says good morning. Kennedy Ongwai is tuned in as well and says good morning. A big note to a 7 years presidential term. Nani alikuwa amesema. Good morning, team. Lest we forget, Bridget's mother said no amount of compensation can bring back my daughter. Christina, good morning. Happy Wednesday says Bree Bishanga. Good morning. How are you, sister? Antonina Kahika says good morning. So how else should we listen to you other than live listening? Okay. But you are here. Are you listening to us? Is something wrong? Talk to us, sister. Fiery Red, good morning. Special thanks to Ndu for being here. Sindio? Thank you so much. In fact, should I go? Fiery Red, good morning to you. Let me go and sleep just for one day, then I'll come back, Abby. Sir Brian Mutego is tuned in this morning. Looking forward to the Spice Baraza. Agola, this will be one because I know that you've talked oftentimes about issues health. So this will be one to be in attendance for. Prince Alvin is tuned in. Folks asking me, why do we have to greet everybody? Because we do. Because this conversation is not big without you. George Okoh is tuned in this morning and says good morning to Princess Ndu, Dennis and EVE. Extending the term of the politicians in parliament and government is truly an abuse to Kenyans' psyche. I'm watching from Miami in Florida. Ian Kizito says, yes, Dennis is right for glasses. Dennis is right. You guys, punctuation is the thing, eh? Dennis is right. Period. For glasses, from glasses to the lips to the cute top. Hey, Bas, he's talking about me, so it's okay. I'm basking in that glory. Heather is asking, which phone is that, Mr. Okari, that you can switch off the lights? James, come on.
Any phone you can, by the way.
That's what I know.
Just reduce brightness. That's what I did before coming in.
You took brightness to 0.
Yeah.
Good morning, Indra and Dennis. I googled this e-procurement issue for Dennis. Note the address of the second service provider. We shall note. You look at that in just a minute. Good morning, says the sisters. Bwangi Juma is also tuned in. My prince is giving his interpretation of that proverb. Dan Stilangat is tuned in. Owen Mulo is tuned in as well, talking about the presidential plane, a Bombardier Dash 8Q400, range of 2,040 kilometers. Okay, so Beatrice Omanwa is tuned in this morning. Carol Nyambura Natupenda Sana, good morning to you. Crispin Omondi is also tuned in, family, and says good job. Good morning from Kikuyu, says Ian Kiri. And we see you, Nyakundi Emmanuel, good morning. General Issa Mavenge is tuned in this morning as well. Charles Chalo says good morning. Kikambala Chukolokt. Hussein Kelvin is tuned in. Derek says good morning, lady and gentlemen. Good morning. Oh, we shouldn't touch your roosters. Wait until you hear this story tomorrow. Tomorrow. This story about the rooster, you guys will be shocked. But I must tell you tomorrow. I can't tell you. Thank you so much, JDD. Asante Sana. Ohagwa Spice, revolutionary journalist family. Good morning, Kimathi Makonnen. Amjambo Waku, says jurist Triwa. And Sean Girishi says salam alaikum, alaikum salam. Atieno Oyaore, good morning, my sister. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us every morning as you do. You guys remind me that rooster story. I can't forget. Tomorrow this time,
we must,
at the crack of dawn, we'll let you know. Isaac Ali is already threatening me that I should not touch your source of livelihood. This one, you will side with me, I promise. All right, as we're getting into things this morning, for those who are wondering, our live streams are on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. Cindy on X, Christine, you'll tell us in a minute. And also KTN, our audience on KTN, good morning and karibu sana. Let's start things off as we look into the headlines. Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard. Apparently there's a league. You know how when... Okay, let me just read the headline. Billionaires League. President William Ruto rode to power on promises of uplifting hustlers, touting the bottom-up model as the cure for the struggles of ordinary Kenyans. But 3 years into his term, he appears to have abandoned that philosophy. While urging citizens to tighten their belts, he loosens the public purse for his own indulgence, spending 12 million shillings on a private jet to Addis Ababa. With schools starved of capitation and counties unable to pay staff, his taste for billionaire luxuries lays bare a leadership that preaches sacrifice but practices extravagance. And the Billionaires Club there, we're seeing Bill Gates, Elon Musk, what's this boy's name for Facebook? What's his name?
Who?
The Facebook man.
Mark Zuckerberg.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Beyonce and Oprah Winfrey, and apparently President William Ruto are in this league. Okay, so Devastating news that reached newsrooms last night, but also was in the public eye. A city lawyer was killed in cold blood in Karen. The pictures were horrible to see. The video was even worse to see. We don't know who this was, but police are all over it, of course. And this gentleman, he was on the political party's dispute tribunal. He was the chairperson, Martin Chalo Mbobu. He was killed yesterday. He was assassinated. For all intents and purposes, one shot took him out. And of course, many questions are being asked at the moment. Above all, may his soul rest in peace. Cut short, unfortunate incident. We'll share details that we have in a bit. Why more adults are losing sleep and turning to drugs. Another conversation that we had last week.
Yes.
Because insomnia is a thing, but also sleep assistance is also becoming a trend. Let me take something so that I can sleep deeper and sounder. And we have, unfortunately, a lot of people who are now dependent on sleep aids. So that's a story that's carried in the Standard today.
So supplements.
Supplements, exactly. Ruto is to meet thousands of teachers amid sector tensions and funding woes. We saw that a school closed yesterday due to student unrest and has been closed indefinitely. That's St. George's Girls on Dennis Pritz. The questions in terms of what's happening is a question. The Ruto scorecard is still being looked into. And there are quite a number of things. People are talking about these by-elections that are coming up in the next couple of weeks, in the next few weeks, actually. And we're looking towards the end of October into November for those. So, sorry, there's quite a lot happening on the international pages as well. And even as I flip through the Standard, and I can't but help look at the many pages of property of folks that is being auctioned. Obviously, things are being auctioned because people are not able to pay. Ethiopia outfoxes Egypt over the Nile waters with its mighty dam. Have you seen the pictures and the videos of this dam?
Yes.
It's incredible to see. And they actually finished it. It's finished. It's complete. 3 years ago, they embarked on this project. Let me tell you guys, if you focus on something and the resources that are meant for it, you actually put it to it, and you say that this is a project that we're going to have and build, guess what? Surprise, surprise, you can actually finish. And the dam is there, ready to go into operation.
Even us, we will finish.
Which one?
There are 100 dams.
Oh, okay.
There are 100 dams.
Aror? Oh, sorry.
We will finish.
Too soon?
Yeah? Not too soon. There's still 2 more years.
Oh, okay.
So Ethiopia, they did it in 3 years.
Africa's largest dam.
Yeah.
They can
3 years, right?
Yeah. But now you small. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Us guys will finish the 100 in 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Be optimistic.
Okay.
Yeah. It's important to be hopeful.
Okay.
Yeah. We can do this.
Hopeful for the day.
Yeah.
Take this music and use it.
I have a dream.
Okay. Sawa.
That one day we shall see the 100
dams.
Yes.
Start with one bus. Sorry.
From the major to the mega to the minor.
Sawa.
We will see all of it. Something you've never seen in the whole of this continent of Africa.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll do something incredible.
This is interesting because you'll tell us what's on the front page of the Star in terms of that dam and who you see standing next to that dam and about other dams.
Yeah. For some reason, the photo.
There's one headline in international news from Ethiopia going back to Nepal. Parliament torched after PM quits over anti-graft protests. People got into the street, said, never again, this cannot happen anymore. Prime Minister said, motto in the kitchen is too what? It's too motto. Out. So, remember a gentleman called Joseph Kony?
Yes.
In Uganda? Well, there's a hearing and it has opened at the ICC. Things that you do to the detriment of others will come back.
Where is Joseph Kony?
You and Yoswali. Because
I grew up hearing about Joseph Kony. Is this guy even alive? He's been hiding in a forest.
I'll tell you the story, but it's as though this war crimes hearing is happening with Kony in absentia, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Yes, so
we've heard this story far too many times.
There has been a warrant for
years and years. But this guy has always been in hiding.
It's just like Felicien Kabuga. And then where do they find Felicien after all that time? In a small hole apartment in Paris. So he's somewhere after coming to Kenya, living in Kenya for some time. This Joseph Kony, as you people are talking, he's just looking at you. Like Sally, in that place.
Maybe Akwapa Umo.
Joseph Kony is just looking
Maybe
at you guys
Joseph
as you know, people are running helter-skelter, pillar to post.
You look at Joseph Kony, he will blend in with a lot of Kenyans.
Allah? He could be roasting maize, apple, nini.
Ama kutu hapa inda. Na tunatembea tu hapa kiuza tu.
You have called everybody.
Mandazi.
You've called KGB. You've called FBI. You've called CIA.
You know this photo?
You've called Mossad.
Yes.
You've called M60. All of them.
This photo of Kony is the only,
only photo that's
one of
available.
the few photos, and it's a very, very old photo. So today, if you're trying to look for Joseph Kony, he doesn't look anything like this now.
Nope.
Of course, with back then that it was stylish to have that kind of, hair afro.
Yeah.
Right now, the dude could be bald as Dennis Okari.
Bas.
Yeah?
You could have passed him just juicy. You don't know.
Yeah. He could be the one fixing the electricity around, or you're a local plumber.
People are using KGB to look for him.
Yeah.
They are going to ICC and he's just looking at you. Saying,
And he's calling himself Cornelius.
hey, God in heaven.
Let's look at the Star. How LSK court move could hit MPs and 2027 aspirants hard. So, the idea is, LSK wants 6 agencies to enforce leadership and integrity laws. I'll get into the details of that in a bit. But the main photo here is the photo of President William Ruto touring the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam after its launch yesterday. You can see him going up the stairs and a lot of waters, gushing waters, beautiful images. If you're trying to interpret a picture, as they say, a picture is what?
Worth 1,000 words.
If you can interpret this, like Damiko nyuma yake, Akombele, and I don't know why they picked on this one, but how counties will share out 3.7 billion roads levy cash. So details have emerged of how counties share the 3.7 billion roads maintenance levy fund cash after a protracted battle with Parliament. However, newly released data reveal how the counties own multi-billion shillings ambitions for their road networks would not be funded. Nakuru received the largest single allocation, 183.4 million. You know how we were saying, this dam in Ethiopia took 3 years. If you're thinking of road maintenance, even just putting up roads, 184 million, what it can do. It's just incredible to just think about these figures and what they can do, and unfortunately how this money is just disappeared. Now let's look at a report here. Why sex work, pub business, and Somali-like looks put you in police radar?
What?
You want me to repeat?
Yes.
So there's a report. And why sex work, pub business, and Somali-like looks will put you in police radar. So there's a Justice Mission survey which showing these are easy money machines for cops. So if they want to make money, these targets I've just mentioned. So you want to be free from police harassment, including arbitrary arrest, shooting, or even being disappeared. Don't operate a wines and spirits joint. Avoid sex work. Matatu tout. And don't be a dreadlocked youth in slums. Don't be poor or have Somali-like appearances, according to these new reports.
All those things, if you don't do them, the police will not come looking for you.
You will not be a money machine. But if you are any of the things I've just mentioned, you will be a cash cow for the cops. That's what the report is saying. So the baseline survey by International Justice Mission also shows that wines and spirits businesses and matatus are easy money machines for police, even when they are compliant, complete with licenses and ticking regulatory boxes. It also shows that people who look like Somali Kenyans are often shot or disappeared, frequently labeled as terrorists or Al-Shabaab sympathizers. Slum youth and boda riding men are viewed as potential thugs and muggers, while sex workers are seen as easy targets for extortion. So the IJM study assessed the prevalence of police abuse of power between March 2022 and March 2024. And the study utilized multi-stage cluster stratified random sampling. All this is scientific in terms of getting this data and all that. So a total of 5,700 participants were engaged through what I've just mentioned. So the study was conducted in Garissa, Kakamega, Kisumu, Machakos, Mombasa, Nairobi, Nakuru, Uasin Gishu counties. So all these things I've just mentioned. One participant narrated accounts that claim that general police attitude towards youth is that they are criminals and should only prove otherwise.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, because if you're looking at that and then what's the word? Stereotypes?
Yeah,
stereotypes unfortunately come into play here. That somebody will just look at you and without speaking a word to you or picking your brain, they will then put you in a particular bin. And unfortunately, human nature, we lean towards the stereotype. We do, whether we like it or not. So it has to be deliberate that we don't. And unfortunately, as has been the practice, that many people then actually live the stereotype. It's unfortunate, but people live the stereotype.
It is,
but we can't judge people by that stereotype, and it cannot be the umbrella that we use.
There's a time in this country, if a young person had dreadlocks, you are labeled mungiki.
Yeah, or weed head.
Oh yeah. And so right now is if you're just a young person, you look poor, you have dreadlocks, you're a thug.
Yep.
You're a criminal.
Yep.
How LSK lawsuit could hit aspirants MPs hard in 2027. So the Law Society of Kenya has filed a case in court, which if upheld would then threaten the careers of MPs. We'll yet see how this goes. This will also shatter the ambitions of countless aspirants who are gunning for the country's high political offices come 2027. Now, in the suit filed at the High Court by Advocate Wasonga Ouma on behalf of LSK, the society accuses 6 agencies of failing to enforce the Leadership and Integrity Act as well as the Public Officer Ethics Act. Now, if the prayers granted by Justice Chacha Mwita serving political leaders and tens of aspirants with criminal cases, including corruption, would be stopped from contesting, the LSK has called out the agencies, including IEBC, for perpetuating a political culture of impunity. Now, apart from IEBC, LSK has also sued the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Registrar of Political Parties, Parliamentary Service Commission, National Cohesion and Integration Commission, and the Attorney General. It argues that the agencies have for 15 years failed Kenyans on the vetting of political aspirants, thus have collectively neglected their duty to craft and enforce mandatory code of conduct for MPs and aspirants. If this is passed, we are likely to see very, very, very interesting times. Now, speaking of that dam in Ethiopia.
Oh, sorry. Can I just say something on the dam?
Please.
So, of course, we know that the construction of something like this is a mega project. It was not, the whole thing was not done in 3 years, okay? And
it wasn't, huh?
No. The idea of it, well, former President Meles Zenawi, of course, had this, he said, this is what we're going to do. And he called it Project X a while ago. This was in 2011. That was when the idea, it's interesting because it was a new birth. Renaissance in French means new birth.
New birth, yes.
Excuse me. And so, of course, the idea started in 2011, and with the construction actually started then about a year and a half after that. But when we're talking about the 3 years now from 2022 until now, is when now the dam and the releasing of the waters, so the actual dam itself, is when that happened in 2022. But all the construction, the thousands of wells, the infrastructure, all of that has taken well over 10 years. Okay, so just to clarify that, we're not
still
saying,
incredible.
It is incredible.
From an idea stage to now completion within 10 years.
Absolutely. And one that would actually remove the veto powers of Egypt over the Nile waters. That's a huge thing. It's a big thing. So, of course, when we're talking about the releasing of the waters, that was from 2022, and it took a very long time, but it was done. It is finished. It's $1 million project, but what is it going to do in terms of water for the people of Ethiopia and other countries? So, sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
So now the politics side to this conversation. Ruto's backing of that Ethiopian dam is going to risk stoking tensions.
Why?
So, the endorsement will put Kenya at loggerheads with Egypt and Sudan. You know where the dam is? Nile.
Yes.
So, Kenya could once again find itself in yet another diplomatic row, following President William Ruto's endorsement of what they call controversial Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam. Now, President Ruto was among the key guests during that inauguration we saw yesterday of what is referred to as Africa's largest hydroelectric dam, which he termed a Pan-African statement. This is Ruto, okay? So the president unveiled the commemorative plaque and all that. Now, the thing is, the president also announced that he had spoken with Ethiopia's PM, expressing Kenya's readiness to sign a power purchasing agreement to offtake surplus power from the project. So there's a way Kenya is going to benefit from this, all right? Now, this could put Kenya at loggerheads with Egypt and Sudan, who have opposed the project since that idea stage.
Of course they did.
All right? So Egypt, which depends on the Nile for about 90% of its fresh water, has historically argued that, look, the dam is going to violate the water treaties signed during the British colonial era and possesses an existential threat. So Cairo has accused Addis Ababa of persistent refusal over the years to accept any of the technical or legal compromise solutions that would safeguard the interests of all three countries, as well as Ethiopia's consistent backtracking on the understandings that were reached. So ahead of the inauguration on Tuesday, Egypt Foreign Ministry spokesman Tamim Khalaf said Cairo would continue to closely monitor developments on the Blue Nile and exercise its right to take all the appropriate measures to defend and protect the interest of the Egyptian people. Sudan, on the other hand, which has severed ties with Kenya, has been on Egypt's side, calling for legally binding agreements on the dam's filling and operation. Now, conscious of the prevailing tensions, Ruto said Kenya remains committed to constructive engagement in the wider Nile Basin talks, which have often collapsed. Basically, Ruto was saying, look, I'm going to come in the middle of all this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these two countries are going to view the position of Kenya like, how are you going to be referee when you've already taken sides? And you've even called that project a Pan-African statement.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, when you get in, look at anything that has that kind of the Strait of Gibraltar, the Suez Canal, the Panama Canal. Anything that deals with this kind of movement is going to be an issue.
Yes.
And it's especially between countries, or that has any kind of bidding on development in one way or another. When we look at it from development circles, this is a fantastic thing.
Yes, it is.
In terms of what is going to happen then because of diplomatic relations between African countries, these three in particular, it's a whole different kettle of fish. But let's see how these all plays out. But because one of the things that you can't do is that you can't get rid of this dam. It's already there.
Yeah, they've already finished and it's operational.
It
but
is.
the politics...
politics around it. I hope it doesn't stall.
There's the issue of colonial legacy. There's the conversation around water rights.
Yep. Source of the water itself.
Yes, exactly. Because the Nile flows through 10 countries.
Yes, it does.
So Sudan and Egypt have issues with Ethiopia. Well...
The Ugandans say the source is there. Anyway, we're getting towards the top of the hour, but I want to tell you this story real quick.
Yes,
Chalo Mbobu shot dead in Karen in Nairobi. Former political party's disputes tribunal chairperson Matthew Chalo Mbobu was yesterday evening shot dead by unknown assailants on Magadi Road. Witnesses told The Standard that Mbobu, who was also a lawyer, was attacked around 5:40 p.m. by two assailants riding on a motorbike who opened fire at least 3 times at close range before speeding away. But interestingly, what we are told is that one shot is what killed him. He was alone in his 4-wheel drive Toyota Land Cruiser. The deceased was shot in the chin and remained in the driver's seat. It is possible the lawyer was on his way home at Bongani Road near Kenya School of Law. He died on the scene and his body was removed and taken to the Lee Funeral Home for preservation, while the vehicle was towed from the scene at around 9 p.m. and taken to the Nairobi Area Police Station. Langata Sub-County Police Commander Pius Mwathi confirmed the incident, saying the police were investigating the killing. It caused a massive traffic snarl-up along the busy road as members of the public gathered at the scene.
For many people, it was the first time they were hearing of this because there were rumors on social media. Who could it be? Could it be this lawyer? Could it be that lawyer? But it's 4 months since the Kasipul MP was also shot in a similar manner.
Same manner.
And this is another one. So we'll soon get to see CCTV footage, and trust me, it will not take long before we start seeing heads rolling.
Indeed.
Yeah.
May soul rest in peace, and that this happened again in a very short period of time, or that it happens regularly. is a bit of a worrying thing. It would be good to see what the police have to say about this, but we continue with more of these conversations. Tony Gashoka is in the hot seat at 7. Good morning, 7 a.m.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Obaga. The Law Society of Kenya has called on the DCI to immediately launch a thorough probe into the killing of Advocate Kyalo Mbombo, describing the attack as a chilling threat to the safety of legal practitioners in the country. In a statement, LSK President Faith Odhiambo noted that advocates are increasingly targeted for performing their constitutional duties, saying Mbombo's murder underscores the urgent need for heightened protection. Mbombo was shot dead last evening in a drive-by attack in Karen, Nairobi. The assailant fled the scene on a motorcycle, and here is one of the witnesses.
Kama saa 11 tukielekea na 40 nikasikia nje kama mlio wa pikipiki huwa zinatoa sauti fulani twa. After kusikia hiyo fire burst nikasikia nduru watu wanapiga. Nikaambia wenye tulikuwa na watu wanapiga nduru ni nini? Twende tuone kwa barabara. Kufika pale hiyo gari nayo ilikuwa imegonga Nissan. Kwa sababu mama walikuwa kwa hiyo Nissan tukawauliza ni nini? Wakasema wameua mtu hapa na wao watu wametoroka na pikipiki wameenda. Wale mama wakawa wanalia pale. Sasa tukaona mapolisi wakaanza kukuja. Wenye walikuwa kwa gari wanasema walikuwa watu wawili, wakati alishoot alikimbia tu na kukalia yenye ilikuwa tayari pale juu. Kufika tunapata mtu ameshika tu steering, mtu ako smart, anatoka job, amefanya nini? Amekaa ameenda.
The society expressed profound grief over his death, conveying heartfelt condolences to his family, friends and colleagues. Teachers union leaders are expected to hold a meeting with President William Ruto at State House on Friday this week in what is widely expected to be a unique opportunity to ensure that various teacher issues are resolved. Despite previous meetings being interpreted as political, teachers union leaders say Friday's meeting will focus on issues such as delays in the distribution of school funds, teacher promotions, as well as the permanent recruitment of trainee teachers. Invited to the meeting are leaders of the Kenya National Union of Teachers, as well as KUPPET, KEPSHA and KESHA.
The issue of capitation, timely capitation should be addressed in this meeting. Look at what is happening in schools. Principals and heads of institutions cannot operate. Implementation has been a challenge. Implementation in total. You know, even as we speak, the Act does not recognize the comprehensive and senior schools. So the sessional paper number 1 of 2025 should be fast-tracked.
The tension between the police department under the leadership of Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja and the Police Service Commission may disrupt the registration of new recruits for various police departments in the country. The confusion arose especially after it was revealed that the funds allocated for the registration of the 10,000 recruits were distributed to NPS instead of the National Police Service Commission. The tension also dominated the sessions of the National Administration and Security Committee after the Commission confirmed that it aims to place an advertisement for the recruitment registration exercise tomorrow, that is Thursday, with those who will be successfully registered scheduled to report to training camps on November 17th. Appearing before the committee, NPSC CEO Peter Lele says the Commission had requested a budget of 379 million shillings, only to be allocated 75 million shillings.
The advertisement is proposed to be published on 11th September 2025 with recruits targeted to report to the training college on 17th November 2025.
Once we retreat, we are going to come up with the dates and the roadmap for that recruitment.
Jeff Kirui, KTN.
Inspector General Kanja told the committee that the two institutions will hold another consultation meeting to agree on a date and guidelines of finalizing the registration of new police officers.
Under Article 245, giving command functions to the IG, and under 245, giving now the HR functions generally under the oversight of the National Police Service Commission.
The system is designed to curb corruption, enhance fairness, and guarantee equal opportunities for all applicants, thereby strengthening public trust in the recruitment process and contribute to a professional, modern and accountable police service.
Well, remember to continue enjoying the EPL marches across our radio stations. That is Radio Maisha, Berur, as well as here on Spice FM. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state of, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing.
They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Very good morning. It's 8 minutes after 7 o'clock. This is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. Today's the 10th of September. And if you're in Mombasa, I beg your pardon, if you're in Eldoret, there is the Boma Inn in Eldoret. What's happening there this morning between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. is the Cradle Study Abroad World Fair. It took place in Mombasa at the Blue City Hotel. It took place on the 8th of September. And here we are on the 11th, and this is happening in Eldoret. So everything you need to know about your university education, you're thinking, okay, so we're getting into it next year. We need to be off to university. Can I send my children somewhere else in the world? What if I want to pursue something else? You don't have to worry about that, because all the information that you need is going to be in one place, one time, all under one roof. Cradle is Africa's largest study abroad platform, and it's using technology to match what you want to do in the future and what you want to study to the available institutions and their destinations. So this is something that you want to get into, and you can go and attend the Study Abroad World Fair. It's happening in Eldoret this morning, and another one will happen in Nairobi on the 13th at the Move and Pick Hotel. So you need to get onto the website www.cradle.com, call 0799 000 444, register, because we need you to get an invite, although it's free to attend, and you get all the information that you need. You can even apply on the go. And you will then find all information about visa care. You will find support about accommodations. You can make an application to university. All of these things you can do one time. So let's get into it and get it done, shall we? Sawa sawa. And as we get into things this morning, I'm going to keep reminding you about what that number is. And for all our folks who are in Eldoret this morning, you can get that done. All right. It's the 10th of September and things are hotting up. We're getting into by-election season. That's going to happen in about a month or so, a little bit over a month, where those by-elections will happen. And the by-elections are being called a litmus test for how parties and how political formations then will perform in the general election 2027, and political factions coming together and different realignments already happening. But it seems like one of the oldest parties in Kenya is still making waves and making moves. We'll get into those conversations. But joining us in the studio this morning is a Nairobi gubernatorial aspirant, Tony Gashoka, and he's here today. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, everybody, and good morning, Nairobi.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, actually. I woke up on the right side of the bed.
Okay, this is always a good thing.
And the sun was why I saw it last week. So that must mean that this week is one that is going to be gracious. And from my point of view, when you wake up on a bright sunny day, early in the week, things are going well.
This is good. So the sun is shining, the birds are chirping, Tony is awake. This is great. All right. We're getting into things this morning. And even as we do, we'll start off with Proverb. Dennis will tell you where it is. And it's also folks who are maybe in a little bit of a damn tiff. And a damn in this case is not an adjective.
And next time I come, I'll give him a proverb myself.
No worries at all. So we are facing north this week. And we're in a country which, at the moment, could have issues with Kenya. Together with another country. And this is because of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam that was launched yesterday. And our president was in Ethiopia. And two countries are already having conversations that, look, this is wrong. And they will try to make some moves and have some conversations. And I'm talking about Sudan and Egypt. But our focus is Egypt, one of the oldest civilizations. The Nile, which is at the center of this conversation, is a 6,650 kilometer longest river in the world and Egypt's lifeline. 90% Egyptians say this is what we depend on, and so it's an issue. Still, at the same time, 90% of Egypt is a desert. So in Egypt, there are very many proverbs, and our proverb today is a very, very simple one. A monkey in his mother's eye is a gazelle.
Absolutely.
How do you interpret that?
Interesting, because first of all, the element of having a mother or in the arms of a mother is somewhere where there is comfort. And given the expanse of the Nile and the desert, it's a very dangerous place. So my first instinct on that proverb would be wherever you can nuzzle next to your mother, there is some safety. And so stay close to something you know, something you can rely, something that can protect you from otherwise a very vast and dangerous terrain, both by water and by land.
Interesting. Absolutely. Stay close to something that will provide you some sort of comfort, I guess.
Yeah, and if you were in a rainstorm, you'd be looking for a tree. Or if you are running from a cheetah, you climb up a tree. Something that can just nuzzle you, give you care.
And we all know who we go to when there's an issue. Our mothers
get thick, absolutely.
Yeah,
without thinking twice.
Yeah, and if you want to see a very vicious wild animal, go for the prey that is young.
Yeah,
and then you will see a mother's wrath
coming out from the woodwork.
Absolutely,
indeed. All right. So this is the month of September. We're running around 3 years into the administration of President William Ruto since he came into power. And as we get into this conversation and then look into what political tides will be telling, give us your overview of how things have gone over the last 3 years.
Look, the election of President William Ruto has been a disaster.
The election?
Yeah, the election of William Ruto has been a disaster. It was a disaster for many reasons. I think the first reason that one can say that the election of William Ruto was a disaster was because the way in which the president was elected. The president was elected in the backdrop of political controversy surrounding the manner in which the election was conducted, announced, and eventually inaugurated. Why do I say a disaster? I say a disaster because elections are meant to be competitions that have a result that is acceptable to the majority of the country. when you have an election where from day one it is polarizing, meaning that those who are defeated and those who say they won were not comfortable with each other, that is not the ideal way in which a democracy ought to function. And therefore, from day one, there was a feeling of us against them. And then very soon, after the first disaster of the election of the government, there became an almost immediate street action that was run by the then Azimio la Umoja brigade in terms of street protests in refusing to accept the results coupled with the Supreme Court of Kenya challenge. During that period of political and judicial upheaval, the country continued more and more to become unstable. And in that period of process, the government became strong-handed toward the way it was acting towards the opposition. In that process and standoff, there was born something called the NATCO talks. The NATCO talks were meant to be essentially discussions that would bring the government and the opposition to some kind of workable solution of negotiating these new difficulties. Among them was to see whether there were any constitutional loopholes that would allow there to be an existing opposition and an existing government. To that extent, there was a bit of hope for Kenya, because there ought to be a royal opposition and there ought to be a government so that the opposition can keep the government on the day on its toes so that people can get a better government. Unfortunately, what was otherwise NADCO talks turned into cooperation talks that turned into the Grand Coalition that then betrayed the entire purpose of why they were sitting down to talk. In other words, this was a post-coalition on coalition. So there was just basically the guys getting together and leaving the people out there, leaving a vacuum. And that vacuum then created the Gen Z despondency, where the leaders of the day seemed to have worked out their political issues, but they did not deal with the issues affecting the general public, and the public rose up towards those issues, leading to the famous protests of 2024, June 24, and thereafter, which then brought the sad situation where the government seemingly disconnected with the public and the ruling class quite comfortable that they have saved the country. So if you asked me to give you a synopsis of 3 years of Ruto, I can say, one, we have a police state. Number two, we have a grand coalition government that is very pleasing to the leadership, but very unpleasing to the public. And finally, we have a budget situation in the country where the country is essentially bankrupt and where we continue to borrow day to day with no end, and the political and economic focus for the country is doomed.
Can all of this be ascribed to the Ruto administration, all of these things that you talk about? Because, I mean, it's not a conspiracy, the things that you speak of with an economy that's flailing, and in terms of, and we put this in quotes, not enough resources to go round to do the basic things that need to be done. But these are perennial issues that have been the bane of Kenya's existence for a while. But can all of these things be ascribed to him, or are we seeing a situation, and his administration, or are we seeing a situation under which these things were exacerbated?
One of the greatest criticism of the KANU regime in the past was that it was a one-party state. That is before KANU gave in to the clamor for Section 2A and therefore allowing the route to multi-party democracy. And the argument then by the proponents of the constitutional dispensation that was to change and later become the 2010 constitution was that we needed multi-party democracy in order to stop power being yielded by any one political person or one political party. And the reason that multi-partyism was exciting, it was a democratic process where governments would be held to account, where auditor generals would not speak on their own, where committees of parliament would not just be left alone, but there would be political action to bring the country to awareness where things went wrong. I want to give the example of the Eurobond. During the time when Uhuru Kenyatta's government was borrowing the first Eurobond, there was a very strong opposition. And Raila Odinga then and the ODM were able to bring up the issue of the Eurobond so loudly and so prominently that everybody in the country started asking, what is this Eurobond? And to the extent that it cost the Ministry of the Treasury, Henry Rotich, to be removed, it cost the overhaul of that whole process so that the opposition has that role. The other day, when Tony Gashoka, Kalonzo Musyoka, and Eugene Wamalwa were questioning the Andani deal, we were able to go and reverse a 368 billion deal of the Kenya Airports Authority with JKIA and the Andani Group, simply because of agitation and bringing forward the issues that were of concern to the country. So the multi-party democratic space was created in order that there is accountable government, because the public don't have the tools to be able themselves alone to be able to bring a government into account. Now, what has happened since this grand coalition government came into play? By cannibalizing the opposition, by buying members of the opposition, they have created parliament and parliament alone against the people. So the things that parliament does not want done cannot be done, regardless of whether they are in line with the people or not. A case in point, for example, is this issue of devolution funds. If you want to argue as to whether the counties should have more money so that the counties can do more for the public with regard to health, with regard to education, etc. And yet, on the other hand, your parliament saying we want the CDF because as MPs we have got roles to do at the constituency. You have a situation of a stalemate because there is no opposition, there is no government, so parliament is acting as one in parliament's interest. And so the executive has had this luxury of having parliament at their beck and call.
Yeah.
I want to remind you the other week when they were talking even with the county assembly with the impeachment of Johnson Sakaja. I mean, Sakaja has almost 90 signatures signed for him to be impeached. 100 plus for his impeachment. And then one meeting is called at State House. Another meeting is called at Jaramogi Oginga Center. And Sakaja is gone home simply by the order of the executive. And that just shows you that the MPs or the MCAs who sit in these county assemblies and parliament respectively are just rubber stamps of the executive. And to that extent, this is a tragedy for multi-party democracy. It was not what was envisaged in terms of checks and balances, and we therefore do not have vibrant political parties. And one of the reasons I'm here is to argue that you've not had vibrant political parties that stand over the test of time. Parties seem to come at the whim of the people who are at the head of them, rather than ideological platform and the test of time.
Could we argue it's a case of desperate times calling for desperate measures? Because this, when you talk about multi-party, we had the Sufuria movement and the conversation around the cost of living, bringing the prices of food down. Then later, when we saw now this broad-based government and we saw the meetings at KICC, the conversation then was, look, we're in a desperate situation. We need to save our country. And so let's work together, see how we can closely work on the issues that the general public is then raising. So let's forget the question of opposition or government. Let's be one Kenya. Let's be united. And there is a very common phrase that is always used by politicians that always makes me wonder. Like, I turn around and I always wonder who is fighting who, because they will say tuunganishe wa Kenya pamoja. It's a very common thing that they use. Could it be that case that, look, there is a situation that is unique that has presented itself here, and there is need then to unite so that we can then address all these issues together? The president at one point was saying, what do you want me to do? What are the issues?
You know, when I was in school, we were being taught something called the LCD. The lowest common denominator. If you want to find a solution to maths, you look for the lowest common denominator. You know what is shocking to me and has profound me, because I'd been an admirer of Baba for so long. I've not actually come to terms with the fact that the LCD in Kenyan politics for the last 25 years is Raila Amolo Odinga. He actually is the lowest common denominator, because this guy is everywhere. I just started looking back from the days of the Pentagon, when all of a sudden there was a politics of 40 against 1. Raila Odinga was able to run this whole country with every single ethnic group forming the Pentagon. I remember in those days there was Henry Kosgei, there was Barala, there was Ngilu, there was Ruto, Mudavadi himself, and all of them against Mwai Kibaki. And it was called, now this is the Pentagon. And in fact, the talk then was 40 against 1. Then from Pentagon, Baba then transitioned and became now the what you call CORD. And then from CORD, he then became NASA. Then from NASA, he became Azimio. And so when I look at all these 25 years transformations of Baba, all of them add up into political power. So he starts with the Pentagon, he goes with the NASA, he goes with COD, he goes with Azimio, and he's always in government. And what has happened is those people who believe in the constitutional order and the alternative, in all their forms, go through with all these new machinations he comes with. Now he's got one new one called broad-based. He's an expert. So since I have been a young teenager, I've been following Baba's evolution. He never worked. In fact, at one time he was Secretary General of Kanu. So Secretary General of Kanu, then into Pentagon, then to NASA, then to COD, then to Azimio. So all these jumps he makes, he takes his people around it, and eventually he ends up in government. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because the whole idea of coalition, broad-based governments are meant to remove the accountability of the elected government to the public on the basis that the public is waiting for something better to come. So whenever they run out of patience, you say, hold on, there will be a referendum. Hold on, no, there will be NATCO. Hold on, we'll start a conclave or a conversation. Hold on, we'll start another commission. Hold on, we are going to find out what this is. So the whole purpose is that of delaying the public execution of an issue so as to buy time, and buying time in politics is actually a way of deceiving people, because in periodic elections, the next elections are on before you have time to resolve what was there before. So I want to allege that in Kenya we have been looking at the elected president, but we have been having an unelected president called Raila Odinga, who has been able to manipulate all the presidents, all of them, including Moi, because he was Secretary General of Kanu, where he entered and he became a very powerful minister. He left Kanu with half of Kanu, what we called the rainbow. Yes. Then he went to give Mwai Kibaki a hell of a time until they had to break out the government of Mwai Kibaki, leading to a referendum of Orange and Baraza. Then he went to Uhuru, and with Uhuru he went and became a project. They failed with Uhuru, and now he's with Ruto. That's Raila Odinga's enigma. He is a perpetual political player who has used his position as the king of the opposition to manipulate himself into perpetual power. So there has been no period in time since his earlier detention in the early 80s that Raila Odinga has been out of power. Not one time.
There's a lot that people say can be credited to him agitating. You see, all these cycles we're talking about, there are stages or phases to all these cycles. So when it starts as a movement that is for the people, by the people. But the person at the top is Raila Odinga in this case. And the agitation is fighting not just for justice, social justice, but fighting for all these things that affect the general public. Then it morphs slowly to negotiations, to handshakes. The question is, you've worked with him, you know him very well. Why does it change? What happens from the time? Because I remember there was a time, as a journalist, if Raila called a press briefing, and you'll get rumors, there's a report, there's going to be an earthquake.
You need to be the one.
From the Eurobonds and so on and so forth. You know things are going to be bad. And he would reveal things that are happening. You remember the Magarian brothers and all those things? It was Baba who was bringing these things up. But then slowly by slowly, things start changing. What happens?
And that is a study that will be done over time. When people look at the history of Raila Odinga and his role in Kenya, I think that history is going to start to be rewritten. And I think the first time that this became very apparent to the majority of the public was the Gen Z struggle. The Gen Z, the young people who do not know the things you are saying about what Baba has done before, came with their own time, in their own generation, in their own moment, and began to agitate for a better Kenya. And the first courtesy they gave was to Raila Odinga. And they said, Baba, stay aside. You've done your part. Now we want to do this thing our way because we have got issues we need to deal about our time, our generation. And the sad thing about this whole thing is that as much as the Gen Z blame William Ruto, they blame Baba. because Baba came and involved himself, emancipated himself in something they had asked him not to remain. And that is the answer to your question. That was this ever for Kenya, or was it always for Baba? The other day when he was talking about the compensation of victims, the first person who was appointed into this so-called controversial victim compensation scheme was Professor Makau Mutua, a very well-known sidekick of Raila Odinga. And the question then begins, first of all, do you have justice? Are policemen arrested, charged? Are the killers of these children taken to book? Is there any form of justice, even before you talk about restitution and you talk about money? So there seems to be this upside down way of looking at, look, a life is worth X amount. I mean, the whole thinking around what Raila Odinga has stood for is now beginning to be questioned. In fact, not just by Tony Gashoka, by his own party. When you have the Secretary General of the Orange Democratic Party, Edwin Sifuna, openly saying that I differ with the decisions of the party and I'm prepared to be thrown out or to go out, when you have Tim Wanyonyi, a leading gubernatorial candidate for Nairobi, saying I can no longer have confidence in the Orange Democratic Party and goes to Bungoma. When you've got even people come from Luo Nyanza, like Babu Owino, saying all of a sudden I have no space in Raila's ODM, I need to chart my own way. You are creating a situation where you're beginning to see an implosion of the Orange Democratic Party. And I'm saying this because it's not because that Raila has changed. It is because of the things that Raila is supporting consistently.
Okay, but is that I mean, I hate to whittle it down to right and wrong, but doesn't that just show that he's an astute politician who knows what he's doing? Here we are thinking that the rest of the world, and in this place, the world being Kenya, should have said, well, he fought for human rights. He fought for a particular political dispensation. But it shows that he was good at what he did. And what did he owe the people of Kenya?
Well, one of Raila Odinga's biggest political defeats came in a by-election in Musambweni, where he had advantages, and before the last election, he was so sure to win it. And he had sent out his point man Joho and everybody to go and bring home the seat there in Ukunda. And when that by-election came, it went completely against what Baba had said. Now, we are going to be having by-elections on the 27th of December. A key among those by-elections is a seat in Malava. Malava has traditionally been an opposition zone when Musalia Mudavadi and the rest were in the opposition. And now, all of a sudden, because of the coalition agreements between Ruto and Mudavadi, Malava is seen to be a must win for the UDA. And of course, now with Baba there, they believe that they are going to win the Malava by-election. Now, for example, if the opposition go and win the Malava by-election, despite the combined strength of Mudavadi, Wetangula, Ruto, and Raila, that will be a major, major call about what is happening in Western Kenya. Should there also be a defeat of government in Embu, in Bere, where the combined UDA, 7 candidates have given in for the one of the opposition of the Democratic Party, then that will send several signals. I see 2 things happening in the next by-elections. Number one, if the opposition win Mbere and Embu and they win Malava, then there will be a big focus on Mudavadi and a big focus on Kindiki, who will be the right hand of Ruto, because none of them will be able to show they can carry a constituency. And in the middle of all that is Baba. So what role Baba will play in helping Mudavadi win the Malava seat is yet to be seen, but it's on the 27th of November.
As interesting as all of this actually is, we then ask questions that this political monopoly that's being played, rather that's being carried out by all the players, then it leaves the questions that Kenyans are asking hanging in the balance. That it's not necessarily that people want to come in and make good for the people of Kenya, but people want to come in and stamp the authority. I mean, just look at the narrative that you've given about Raila Odinga over the last 20 or 25 years in terms of what he has been able to do or achieve. The fruits that fall along the wayside is what Kenyans pick up. What happens to the rule of law and governance? What happens to constitutionalism? What happens to conducive environments for business and or work? What happens to health and safety? What happens to education and infrastructure when all of these things, or are these campaign promises that end up being a means to an end?
You can only call it a failure of multi-party democracy because, multi-party democracy was meant to ensure that you don't have those failures. Multi-party democracy was to give enough choice to the public to elect people of quality and substance, so that when you have these kind of situations, the public had... let me give an example. When Wangari Maathai was elected as an MP, she stood on her own feet on the issue of the economy, but also in terms of ecology or the green movement. She was able to not only rise to become a Nobel Peace Prize winner, but to make Kenya very, very conscious about green forests, Karura, and all the things that come around with it. We've had individual people in this country like J.M. Kariuki who have stood for economic empowerment of the common man and were able to do it on their own feet. There are people who have come here. People like ministers like Michuki, who came and put, very, very high standards in ethics and work and left their ministries, standing better than they found them. So multi-party democracies from time to time create opportunity for individuals to rise and to be able to go against the status quo. What we need right now in Kenya, and one of the reasons I'm running for the Nairobi gubernatorial seat, is because there must be a break into this monotony. There must be a time where people stand up and say, hold on, I'm standing on my own feet. Because the way things are going, the country cannot go on this way at all. And I think that if men and women across the country, given where we have reached with the 2010 Constitution, have the courage and, the weather to actually stand up and be counted, there can be a break to this. And I wanted to give you an example of how this has happened. If you remember Kivutha Kibwana in the last election, many people would say that Makueni was a good standard, that there was a county that was well run by a governor who was well within his means. You actually find Kivutha Kibwana having tea and soda in the normal cafe in town because he never went there for enrichment. He never went there to grow his own personal self, but he went there to uplift Makueni. If you could have 10 Kivutha Kibwanas and others like that, it is possible to uplift this country. So where we are discussing these by-elections and why it's an important time to discuss them, it can be the litmus test. You can actually use by-elections like this that don't come often, and they come within the calendar of the political year, to send a warning shot to the political class that, look, there are going to be people who are going to be elected by the public who are going to uphold the standards of leadership and integrity. And for KANU, we are running a candidate in Kariobangi North, and we are going to ensure that we say, look, it doesn't have to be this party or that party that takes ownership of Nairobi. We would want to see that political parties with the right candidate can actually run a candidate somewhere and win, and away from the clutter of, this grand government or the clutter of the grand opposition, that you can actually run a man or woman on the basis of his record and be able to win an election.
You spoke about breaking monotony, and you gave reference to quite a number of people who, like Kivutha Kibwana, said how he managed and ran Makueni County as the governor, as an example. But what exactly is monopoly in Nairobi politics today for you? What is it?
It's sadly the fact that, the corruption indicators that drive Nairobi seem to consume every governor since Kidero. That if you were to take all governors elected in Nairobi, their LCD is corruption. Because it just seems that everybody who has sat on that seat, the whole argument about governance comes back to the issue of money. How much is being looted? How much is not being done? How much is looted? How much is not being done? Let me give an example of what I mean. From the Kidero time, it led to cases going to the IEBs. What do you call it? Anti-corruption.
Yes.
Anti-corruption, yeah. And all of it was based on, poor procurement, wastage, what you call pending bills, all the things that, attract the wrong money. Then from there, you had the Sonko. From Sonko, not only could he not finish his term, he was actually removed and replaced by a general. by his own government, by his own nominating party, on basis of misuse of public funds and the abuse of funds. As we speak now, the MCAs of Nairobi County are accusing their own governor of massive corruption. In fact, they are saying that Kidero and Sonko combined, so Sakaja has done more. So there is this appetite in Nairobi to loot this city and not to give any services. And the reason around it mostly is based around pending bills, based upon awarding of planning and urban planning contracts and things that require or forensic tests in order to tell the authenticity have never been done. So we have a situation where Nairobi is by far the most corrupt, the most mismanaged county in the country, and the person who is there is just incapable, right from his academic papers to his type of governance. Justice Sakaja has really been overwhelmed by county of Nairobi.
Before we come into the intrigues of Nairobi, because yesterday, of course, then looking into conversations around what Nairobi needs, let's go back to the political parties. We know for a fact that most of the time political parties are the vehicles through which individuals then will get to a position of leadership that they seek. Not often in Kenya do we see the ideological side of political parties being practiced, that you will not then be able to say that, well, the party is speaking for this position, whether it is on nationalism, patriotism, foreign policy, or whether it is on economics or development. We don't, in Kenya, the political parties don't carry that kind of agenda. Usually it is a vehicle to achieve a position or to maintain and or exceed political expediency. Okay, so that could be a model that Kenya decides that it's going to go with. That's all right. So KANU is one of the oldest parties in the country. And we know that it was the party. We also then, much later on in this political arena, saw that KANU now buddied up with others and formed part of Azimio. Is KANU out of that? I mean, as Azimio as a political giant, this monolith of people no longer exists for all intents and purposes. So where does that leave the party in terms of what it's then being able to do? You've already told us that you'll field a candidate in the by-election. Is it a party still being looked at for, participation?
Well, that's a very good question. First of all, KANU never signed a memorandum of understanding with parties to form a coalition government in the last general election. What KANU did was sympathize with the opposition, but ran its candidates countrywide.
Okay.
I also want to agree with you that from the beginning, when independence was formed, KANU came from something called KAU, the Kenya African Union for younger voters, and the Kenya African Union was then being led by Harry Thuku and them, and then Jomo Kenyatta took over with Tom Mboya, and they began to build the Kenya African National Union. At that same time, there was another body, the Kenya African Democratic Union, being led by Ronald Ngala and President Daniel Moi, which was called KADU, and they were running separately. Sometime in the little general election of 67, KADU and KANU merged, and Odinga's Kenya People's Union split from KANU. So that Jaramogi, who was the vice president of Kenyatta, began his own party, the Kenya People's Union. And it was seen then to be a socialist party whose ideas were left of center. And Kenyatta's KANU and Tom Mboya were seen to be more like capitalist kind of party that was right of center. And at that time, there was this divide of the East and the West. So Jaramogi was seen to gravitas towards Russia and the East, and Jomo Kenyatta towards the democracies of the West. And that is how the politics of 67 began. As those politics went on, then KANU was continuing to become a dominant force, and Jaramogi Odinga became an opposition figurehead, to the extent where Kenyans now can remember to the multi-party clamor. At the time for multi-party clamor, there was Jaramogi Oginga as a dawn of the opposition, and against the prevailing KANU of then President Moi. And so that gives an idea where that divide began. And then it was during that election of post the multi-party democracy that then this coming together of politicians began. But coming to KANU always remained distinct and decided to become a party on its own and stand on its own feet. In the last election, KANU lost the Baringo gubernatorial seat, which belongs to Senator Gideon Moi, and then it went into a bit of a lull, but still retains members of parliament both as MCAs and as parliamentarians. So at the moment, KANU is focusing itself to come strongly in the next elections. KANU is preparing for elections at all levels of the country, from MCAs to MPs, governors, and a presidential bid. Now, the problems that KANU has faced are no different from the other people facing the country, which is to bring young people and to energize the party in a way in which it can be modernized in order to take advantage of the realities of today.
So it's not currently modernized?
I think...
Still living in the past as a party?
I would say we are in the process by opening ourselves to saying that we have no predetermined leaders. We are not coming in and saying these are the leaders that you must follow, and nyinyi hamuna nafasi. In fact, as far as KANU is concerned, KANU has an open slate and is ready to...
Okay. So, Tony, KANU is like a lot of what we heard in the movement, where they say leaderless, tribeless, kind of like an open system where, we'll get there when we need to. Is that what you're saying?
You know, political parties are not run by men. They are not run by women. Political parties are ideologically strong.
Or they should be.
What happens is men and women are temporary holders of office in political parties. What holds political parties is the strength of their ideas. You know, when you open a church on Sunday, I don't normally see a sign, please walk into this church. When you open the door, and the faithful come into the church, and that becomes the strength of the church, becomes how the church draws the people that come into it. Political parties define themselves, their ideology and their manifestos, and people then come into those churches, come into those parties for that reason. What KANU is now doing, and what I'm doing this morning, is part of talking up the fact that the Party of Independence has been there since 1964. When it merged with KADU, that party has been reliable. It is not political. It's a national party. It is in every part of the country, and everybody can feel at home with the party, just the way in which KANU feels at home in every part of the country. And so other countries have a warm tradition of having parties that have survived generations and generations. And we are proud to be part of that ongoing generation that was begun by Jomo Kenyatta, carried on by Daniel Moi. Mwai Kibaki was there. Kalonzo Musyoka is still a live member of KANU. And so even Raila Odinga himself has been Secretary General of KANU. President Ruto has been a member of KANU. KANU is a party where none of them in the political arena can ever say they were never part of it.
And yet, there is a need for it to be more robust in its activities in order for it as a party which would then carry individuals who want to take up a particular political position. It would then need the party to come alive. So it is not just the old faithful, establishment in a shanty town somewhere that is not going anywhere. People know that they can go in there for a drink every now and then. It's never going to close, but it's always been there. But then there's a shiny new guy on the side of the street that everybody's flocking to. Does KANU need to paint its walls?
Are you suggesting there is a more maverick person to bring into KANU than Tony Gashoka?
I'm asking a
question. I'm just asking you. Listen, let me ask you.
So the question is, Tony,
yes.
Are you going to, paint the walls and, chuck some stuff from under the stairs and make it a little bit brighter for people to realize what's going on with the party?
Absolutely. I can tell you in the next few weeks, you're going to see a lot more, because we are going to be speaking very bluntly. We are going to be talking, power to the people, and we are going to be speaking truth to power. And the reason is because KANU, by its nature and by its history, has got not only the locus standi, but the duty to ensure that we safeguard particularly the Constitution. The 2010 Constitution is a product of having allowed Section 2A to open up multi-party democracy. And to see the collapse of multi-party democracy is to see the collapse of the 2010 Constitution. We must make KANU the party that stands by the 2010 Constitution. We must make KANU the party that stands by the rule of law. We must stand KANU to be the party that fights for the aggrieved and for the person who is trodden upon. We must make sure that the young people of this country country don't have to jump from party to party every cycle, and that there can be reliability and there can be stability in there being a credible organization that has stood the test of time and one that can be inherited by their children and their grandchildren. So here in building this thing, it is something that I would want to leave behind and look back and say, look, under since independence in the 60s, KANU has now got its strength back in the 1920s, and by the 1930s, KANU is back and KANU is roaring and KANU is taken its place. That to me would be a beautiful testament of the current leadership that both I and Gideon Moi can try and bring to the table to ensure that this party can be seen, and not only seen but can be hard to be seen.
Well, let's talk about the by-elections. I saw a picture of you with the candidate that you're fielding for this by-election, and my question, I have several, but my first question is is KANU going to be fielding candidates for all this?
Yeah, but let me tell you about Kariobangi. There's an interesting seat. That seat was left by a guy called Manuve. He was an MCA. He was bringing an impeachment motion against Sakaja, and then he died mysteriously. There's a lot of rumors as to how he died, but he was the one bringing the impeachment motion. He comes from Kariobangi North. Now, Peter Karaoke was a guy who was second. That's a guy who was now running against him, but then he could not get on the ballot because of UDA played him around. So he moved from UDA and joined KANU. And so his name is Peter Karaoke Nganga, and he came to see me. We had several meetings, and we agreed that we are going to not only run him in Kariobangi North, I'm going to go myself personally and camp in Kariobangi North, and we are going to vote as a litmus test to see whether or not Nairobi is ready to elect a KANU MCA and whether Nairobi is ready to elect a KANU governor or not. So he, as much as Peter Karaoke Nganga is standing, Tony Gashoka is also on the ballot. So lazima niingie huko kwa hali na mali na nifanye campaign ili tuone kama chama ya mama na baba tunaweza tingiza.
As you tingiza, that MCA level, MP level, is there a possibility you're also going to field the presidential candidates? Now that we are seeing alliances and party forming themselves around other coalitions.
I can tell you without fear of contradiction, KANU is running a presidential candidate.
You're not going to be in a coalition?
Oh, no. By next year, there will be a major event. My friend, listen, what Tony Gashoka is doing, ni kukata njia. Unajua, when you're coming now toward a major ocean, you must have a tributary that unafungua, otherwise maji itapotea kwa njia. We are rebuilding KANU, rebranding KANU, and I can tell you KANU will be the last nail on William Ruto's coffin. You know, people are assuming the Rift Valley will be a place just for Ruto to walk around as he wishes. There will be a substantial presidential bid that is going to turn the politics of the country on its head. Right now, people are rearranging themselves that who is going to run. I'm sure people are talking about my good friend Rigathi G, Rigathi Gachagua. People are talking about Kalonzo Musyoka. People are talking about my good friend Eugene Wamalwa. People are talking about Matiang'i. But people better know and prepare that without any doubt, Gideon Moi is a candidate for president come 2027. Now, I am telling you, KANU will be ready, and KANU will give William Ruto a run for his money.
That's official.
That is official. I'm speaking officially on KANU's permission, and where else better than to say it here at SpiceFM? Nobody can say I'm being rigged here.
Well, okay. Well, let's look into Nairobi for a minute then, shall we, Tony? Because it's a big deal. And like I said, we had a conversation around Nairobi yesterday and all of the broken systems. And usually you need to use the capital administration as a pivot point as to what would then happen and reverberate through the rest of the country. Does Nairobi need a governor?
That is one of the best questions I've had. Actually, let me tell you, I don't know whether we need a policeman, a prosecutor, and a judge. You know, the ones with a hangman. Because you see what has happened. Nairobi is a crime scene.
Okay.
Every part of Nairobi requires DNA evidence, it requires forensic. There is a disaster in Nairobi. Let us start from governance. From the point of where the direction of Nairobi is being run, meaning the cabinet. The quality of the cabinet is absolutely substandard. So there is nothing something that is being developed at a cabinet level that can become a policy that can help Nairobi. And that I mean from the transport system, whether it be tramming, whether it be underground, whether it be public transport systems, all those things, including education, including hospital, all the things which are cabinet level are a disaster. Coming to issues of management. The issues of management and financial propriety in Nairobi is a complete disaster. There is no revenue coming to match the expenditure. The expenditure is growing, and that expenditure, a lot of it is ghost workers. A lot of the expenditure is pending bills which have never been verified by forensic audits or otherwise, and are not therefore payable in the right way. Coming back to the issue of beautification or the security of Nairobi, which are both the same. Because if you have no lights and you have no street lights, then there is insecurity. If there is insecurity, there is theft at night, there is crime. All of these things are interrelated and interdependent into a lack of a managerial capacity that comes to the center of Nairobi by electing a governor who has taken on more than he could. He couldn't take on school. He can definitely not take on the county government of Nairobi. This man is just beyond his ability to do. He cannot do it. In fact, I remember when he had a conflict with the Kenya Power and Lighting Authority, his solution was to take garbage, and put it in front of Kenya Power. And that is not how you resolve conflicts. Conflict resolution requires sobriety, requires interventions and matters that can bring, sustainable changes in a way in which both the Kenya Power and the public benefit. So we must call Nairobi what it is, a complete total disaster. We must also say that this is the most unpopular governor since the election of governors began. He's worse than Sonko, he's worse than Kidero, and it's not just me saying it, it's even his MCAs. And in fact, other than the courtesy of Ruto and Raila who are carrying him, because I understand he's very generous with his bags. Other than that, there's nothing holding this governor in office. So yes, Nairobi is something that I'm very serious about. I want to assure you that it's going to be a two-horse race between Tony Gashoka and Justin Sakaja, and I am going to ensure that we remove him from office.
Okay, Tony, it's one thing to remove Sakaja, and as people say, it's all talk until you get to the position. Sakaja, these same things you're raising, Sakaja in very many interviews spoke over the same things with regards to the previous administration. And in his manifesto, key campaign manifesto, he had some 4 pillars. One of them was order. The next one was dignity and hope and opportunity. And the title, Let's Make Nairobi Work. And he spoke so well. He had a very, very impressive document and how he was going to establish all these things, decentralizing governance in 5 administrative boroughs within the city. He spoke about security. He spoke about restoring order in public transport, reforming healthcare. All these things that he spoke of, none.
So I want to ask you then this question. Yes. Do you know who stopped the Andani deal in Kenya and why? The airport deal between the Andani Group and Jomo Kenyatta International Airport was stopped by Tony Gashoka.
Okay.
And the reason is simple. Tony Gashoka saw the problem, went to court, and a certificate of urgency petition. I put in a strong legal team led by Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, Ndegwa Njiru, Kibe Muigai, etc. But it was the petition of Tony Gashoka that put the end to Andani Airport. And why? What was the reason? The biggest investment in Nairobi County is the airport. Because in the airport, we bring in not only the traffic and the people who do business in this town, but also we do every night over 340 tons of horticulture. We export flowers, we export courgettes and avocados and all manner of things throughout, and roses all over Europe, which creates a huge, huge market on what we call the perishable items. Those items are a major source of revenue for the airport, for our people, and for the other services which are unseen when you deal with an airport. The airport is a part that brings security to the capital city and security to the country. It is not something that you subcontract to a foreign entity. The airport also becomes the hub that connects Nairobi to all other parts of Africa. How you can have a sitting governor laughing with an executive about carving out your airport and saying nothing about it. Those are some of the things which separate Tony Gashoka and Sakaja. it is a matter of public record. It is a matter of public record that the High Court stopped the Adani deal on the Tony Gashoka.
But Tony, are you saying you're the first one who raised the Adani
I did not raise it as the first one. There were many whistleblowers, and people do that, and that's why there is a country. But I am saying I am the one that took the matter to court, and it is a matter of public record.
And because of that, that would now show.
And even now, I enjoy the conservatory orders, which stopped the government from doing that until they were to comply with it.
And so that, even as we wrap this up really quickly, would lead to then folks understanding that if you were able to stop such a monumental thing from happening in Nairobi, it leads to looking into how a leadership of Tony Gashoka would be over Nairobi?
Of course, because my other one, if you remember in the 90s, I'm the one who stopped the Goldenberg scandal. I was the chief executive of Finance magazine. I wrote about Goldenberg and Kamlesh Matni and looting this whole country. And I was sent to committee prison for what the work I did. I was only released because of Amnesty International. Because my record on standing in public governance issue is a matter of public record. I have always said no to the theft of public resources. I have been known as a veteran journalist, as one who has not just said it, but done it, and had done it very loudly. I don't think there's another Kenyan who has been jailed by 7 judges of the Court of Appeal. And I was judged by simply calling the Court of Appeal the center of corruption as it was in the time, because they allowed Kamlesh Patni to loot over 68 billion shillings in Kenya unperturbed and untouched. We wrote about the Agro-leasing scandal. We did so much in the 90s to be able to bring accountability and fairness to the country. And this country needs people with character, people who can stand up and say no, that this is enough, and we need a country that is going to be governed by laws and not by men.
Tony Gashoka, he's the Nairobi gubernatorial aspirant in the coming elections in 2027, has been our guest this hour, looking into intrigues around KANU, and not just the old establishment on the side of the road, but one to be reckoned with, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Tony Gashoka, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Asante sana, may you have a blessed day. They say that ambition without knowledge is like a ship on land.
Oh, there you go, at 8:01.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Obaga. Nearly 50% of Kenyans say they have been victims of police abuse, with the majority saying they have been extorted, harassed, wrongfully detained and asked to pay a bribe. A report titled Justice System Response to Police Accountability by the International Justice Mission paints a picture on how a majority of Kenyans have experienced police misconduct, particularly on Fridays and Saturdays. Further, it reveals only 14% of key stakeholders have expressed confidence in the justice system to effectively address the problem. Here is LSK's President, Faith Odhiambo.
If we can do election matters in 6 months, imagine if we held cases for police misconduct in 6 months. What deterrent would that make? How many people are ready, after seeing the threats and the killings, to come and stand and say, yes, I was there and I saw that happen? If you're not even sure if tomorrow you'll be the next, or the example that is shown.
IGM Country Director Vincent Chahale, on his part, says the report also found that only 39% of the cases were reported due to lack of confidence in the justice system.
Many feel that the country does not have an adequate system or resources for protecting witnesses or victims. The challenge is participating through the process, because you find from reporting to the day that a conviction or a ruling is made by court, it's a long process.
And the State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunications came under scrutiny for spending 500 million shillings on printing and distributing the MyGov pullout in newspapers, with the Public Accounts Committee questioning whether taxpayers received value for money amid gaps in circulation records and advertising revenue collection. Principal Secretary Stephen Eseboke faced a hard time defending the agency as MPs raised concerns over payments made to media houses, including outlets that had ceased printing, and inconsistencies in revenue generation.
The budget and performance of Kenya shillings 911,735,105, which represents 14% of the approved budget, was attributed to the delays, non-payment by MDS for the advertising services rendered on their behalf by the government advertising agency, the GAA. And collection of the ANI by KBC due to the aging broadcast equipment.
MPs also queried why state agencies have failed to pay the government advertising agency fees for advertisement, rendering the agency financially crippled.
My understanding is that the reason of creation of the government advertising agency was to reduce the cost of advertising.
The NDS, when they place these advertisements, the budget is in their books. So they place the advertisements against the available balances in their budgets. So when finally they are placed, because the budgets later come, for them to pay us, the exchequer has to be released from the National Treasury. So the explanation is sometimes the exchequer delays in coming.
You are defending people who are supposed to pay you. Instead of telling the committee the truth, these people we have told them to pay, they are not paying.
Remember to continue enjoying the EPL marches across our radio stations, that is Radio Maisha, Berur, as well as here on SpiceFM. That's the news wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice. We do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state of, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit.
There is statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't
their offices to serve the people?
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, staki kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how
Conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that...
They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human, everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, staki kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
Not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing policy of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
It's to serve the people. If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, "Staki kuongea today." Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
17 minutes after 8 o'clock this morning, and getting into conversations as we continue with the day to day. And this is a Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. And even as we get into things, good to have you in the room, and we continue this morning. It's Spice Baraza that we're getting into. And even as we do, lovely to have you here even as we join. It's the 10th of September. And Evie, I can hear you guys in the MCR. I'm just going to have to say it because you can't get my attention. Asante sana. Thank you. Now, even as we do, having that conversation around our health baraza, that's what we're going to do. But it's the 10th of September. And now when we talk about what you were going to do with your university education, there are folks who are getting into the Bomber Hill in Eldoret today. The Study Abroad World Fair by Cradle has been organized. It took place in Mombasa on the 8th of September, and that's continuing into Eldoret this morning. You ask yourself, okay, so what's going to happen? Well, Cradle, Cradel, runs Africa's largest study abroad platform, and it's helping students match and enroll to 575 universities around the world in 50 of the world's top destinations. It's the most diverse collection of universities available to Kenyans under one roof. And the Study Abroad World Fair is happening in Eldoret this morning from 9 a.m. at the Boma Inn. So what are you going to find when you get there at 9 and stay until 4? You'll get the biggest opportunity for students and parents to explore universities in person across the world. At the Study Abroad World Fair, you'll witness the famous battle of the study destinations, where representatives from top universities will unpack what makes their study destinations the right one for you. There will also be pitches from different universities to help you understand the benefits of different universities and what they have to offer. And you'll also get face-to-face interactions with university representatives, tailored guidance on career paths, as well as visa and accommodation support. And you can make an on-the-spot application. By the time it's 4 o'clock, you'll have everything that you need for that decision that you need to make. So what do you need to do? Get on the website, register www.cradel.com, or you can call 0799 000 444. That's what we're looking into this morning. And even as we do, yes, just getting ready to have our Spice Baraza. And we're looking into the state of healthcare this morning. And we will, and our panel is here getting into some folks who've joined us from a spectrum of society, from legal representation to community health workers, community health promoters, and some more will join us even as we continue in that conversation. And we'll have a chance to interact one to the other to get to know the real state of things as we do that. Also joining us in the studio, in the hot seat as well as we do this, is no stranger to the Situation Room and no stranger to the health conversation that has been taking place in the country from over the last couple of days, and he's going to also help us out in this morning. Dr. Brian Lishenga is the chairman of the Rural and Urban Private Hospitals Association of Kenya and joins us this morning. Daktari, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good, Ndu. How are you?
I am okay. I'm all right. Doing okay. Dennis, also, as you can see, as well.
Yes.
The state of health is an interesting one at the moment. Yeah. We're going to look into it today, and we're just going to be open and honest and say what the true situation is and perhaps what needs to be done. And we're going to hear from the ground, and we're going to hear from the people as well. Okay, so before we get into that, Dennis quickly is going to share today's proverb, and it might be interesting in terms of what it is and where it's coming from.
Okay, so our proverb this morning, which I'll be seeking interpretation, is coming from Egypt.
Egypt.
You've been to Egypt?
It's one of my to-do lists. In fact, I was talking with a friend yesterday, and said I must visit Egypt and spend 2 weeks there.
Doing what?
It's a beautiful
walking around.
Just walking around.
It's apparently a very beautiful, amazing, and just the amount of human history that is present in Egypt is something to look at.
The oldest civilization. That's where they say math came from.
Yes.
So how about medicine? Where did it come from? Egypt as well?
Again, origins of medicine are a lot of it in Egypt.
A lot of it in Egypt.
A few in Mesopotamia, Sumeria, but Egypt really, cradle of all our intellectual, civilization.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So besides that, they were also very, very good in coming up with proverbs. So our proverb today, a monkey in his mother's eyes is a gazelle.
No.
How would you interpret that? A monkey in his mother's eyes is a gazelle.
Oh, wow. Okay, maybe I would interpret it to mean that from a mother's perspective, their child can do anything, can achieve anything, can be the fastest.
Even though they are not.
From a mother's point of view, a child's potential is limitless. It's unlimited. It could as well as even be a lion, or anything. That's how I look at it. So it's the limitless potential that parents see in their children. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Great interpretation. Basically, is to a mother, child is always the most beautiful, the most wise, the most intelligent, the most fastest.
There has never been a better baby born.
No criminal record.
Nothing.
Even if there is evidence that they are criminals, speaks of parental love either way.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it does. So as we get into this Baraza this morning, we're looking into the state of health in the country. And I know that there's a lot circling the drain in terms of payments for SHA, whether SHA is working, whether folks have an opportunity to go into hospital, and whether we can actually be fair enough to say, you know what, for anybody who's paid their premiums every month and has paid up for a year, you should be able to walk into any facility, be it public or private, and then get the care that you need. That's the overall thought.
Yes.
Right? And then the horror stories of what we're hearing is actually happening in some areas when it concerns people's health. Those are some of the issues that we're going to look into today. To get an overall perspective, let's start with you, Dr. Lishenga, and where we are with health. And I know that Rufa at this point has done a number of things. Topmost on that is saying, you know what? We are going to withdraw services as medical practitioners. I think now we're in another 12 days.
9 days.
In another 9 days, we're going to withdraw services if we don't get the money that is owed to us. Now, let's establish that this is for services that have already been rendered to people in terms of medical care over the years, not just
for a long time.
For a very long time. And so people have come, they've gotten treatment and they have gone home, they've used their cards, but that's the way the system works, that you essentially are paying arrears in the system. And so Rufa gave that notice, but what is it coming from? What is the premise of that notice? Essentially where we are saying that medical staff, at least in these facilities that this umbrella body sits over, that medical services will be withdrawn.
All right. Thanks, Ndu. So just to give you context, a good example is the difference between leadership and management, just to use that. So Rufa is providing leadership in this context. You know what? They say that when you are leading, when a group of people are moving, managers through a forest, what managers do is try and make sure that people can navigate the forest to the end. But what leaders do is they climb the tallest tree and they look around and they say wrong forest. So what Rufa is doing is providing leadership, and we have climbed up the tree of healthcare, and we are now sounding the alarm that this is the wrong forest. It doesn't even matter whether we will get through the forest. It's just the wrong place for us to be. And let me just put it in perspective. When this brilliant idea by the national government was put in place, of course there was a lot of debate, but we came out ultimately and said, this is the manifesto of the Kenya Kwanza administration. Every government is elected to implement its manifesto. And therefore, why not? Let's allow this government, because it has the will of the people, to implement. So we supported the transition from NHIF to SHA on the basis that the government needs to be given time to implement. Now, what we had misgivings with and what we are sounding alarm on, we're actually sounding an alarm. And it's not only for private sector, it's for the whole healthcare system. The alarm that we are sounding is that the path, the trajectory Kenya is on in terms of social health insurance, if we don't change our healthcare financing mechanism, if we don't change the priorities in terms of where are we spending money, this beautiful baby, back to the baby situation, because the government is like the mother of SHA. So to the government, SHA is a gazelle. It's perfect. If we don't change, if we don't change this trajectory, we are sounding the alarm that by December latest, possibly we will have a healthcare system that has totally crumbled, and it is for one major reason. If you don't put, it goes back to our vision for UHC. One of the major pillars for UHC is healthcare financing. That is to protect people from catastrophic healthcare expenditure. That people should access the highest quality of healthcare without suffering unnecessary hardship. Now, for you to do that, you must put money there. And, we're also telling the Kenyan people, there is nothing like a free lunch. It doesn't exist. Healthcare has to be funded. The question is, where is the money coming from? We as a nation have to decide amongst ourselves, talk among ourselves. Where will we get the money? We want to go to hospital and not suffer hardship. Where will the money come from? And we started from a point, the transition from NHIF to SHA started at a point where hospitals were already indebted. They already had debts from NHIF. Yes, to the tune of 33 billion. And I have been on this show before, Ndu, and I told you that the reason why NHIF was in debt was actually government, not Kenyan people, government. Because civil servant schemes, teacher schemes, police schemes, indigent schemes, orphan schemes, Edu Afya, Linda Mama, all these schemes that are government schemes for years did not remit money to NHIF, and hospitals continued providing service, Kenyans continued contributing. So by the time we were transitioning, we were 33 billion in debt. A vast majority of this debt is government debt. Government agencies, ministries, parastatals, all this. So first of all, let's not blame the Kenyan people on that. NHIF was in debt not because of hospitals, not because of Kenyans, but because of government agencies and departments not doing their part. So we said, fine, pay us this money before we go to SHA. They said, no, don't worry. We will write it in the law that any debt or any liability that was in NHIF, SHA will inherit. So you guys don't worry, SHA will inherit. And by the way, SHA is the promised land. We will generate so much money. This NHIF debt will look like, peanuts. So we said, fine. Now, 33 billion shillings transitioned. Now, we are 11 months into SHA. The thing I hear from Kenyans is SHA is working. From there, maybe it's a 60-40 split or something. People who have gone to hospital and walked in and walked out and they didn't pay. If you put a microphone before them, I say, boss, SHA is working. All right. But what we are telling Kenyans is that the same trust that we transitioned with in November, October last year, trust in government. So government said, don't worry, we have you. You provide care. Don't turn away any Kenyan. We will pay you guys. Don't worry. So what did hospitals do? Hospitals offered care. And SHA was better than NHIF in the pre-authorization of procedures. NHIF used to reject procedures. You have paid, they tell you, no, we can't do that surgery. The magic of SHA, and these guys were very clever because they realized NHIF was unpopular because contributors were having procedures rejected. So they corrected that. How they corrected that? They approved each and everything. So as long as you are SHA registered, you walk into any hospital, you have a growth, you have a what, OTP on your phone very quickly, your procedures, they even send you the amount of money approved. So Kenyans flood hospitals. They say SHA is beautiful. They never rejected anything. And hospitals are trusting government because government said we will pay. Now, 11 months down the road, hospitals have sent to SHA claims worth 96 billion. Because, hey, Kenyans are going to hospital and SHA is rejecting nothing. 96 billion. And SHA has paid 53 billion. Now, if you do simple math, 96 minus 53 is 43 billion. Within 11 months, SHA is in debt to the tune of 43 billion Kenya shillings. It took NHIF 50 years to accumulate 33 billion. It's taken SHA 11 months to accumulate 43 billion. How much is SHA collecting per month? Maximum, they are collecting 6 billion. How much are we sending in claims by visiting hospitals? We are sending claims worth 9 billion every month.
So we're sending 3 billion shillings in excess of claims that have been received by SHA.
Deficit of 3 billion monthly.
Yeah.
So by the time 1 year ends, at the best, they are going to be at least 36 billion shillings in debt.
Okay, so
they're already 43 now. So we don't know how they are going to catch up. And we are now looking at the general public. Kenyans are not increasing contributions. Out of the 26 million Kenyans who have registered for SHA, and our politicians are very good at saying, register, 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 register. They are not telling Kenyans, contribute, contribute, contribute. So Kenyans are registering. So out of the 26 million Kenyans, only 1 million self-employed Kenyans are contributing. 3.5 million salaried Kenyans are carrying 96% of the weight of SHA. So we have climbed up that tree of healthcare, and we are sounding an alarm. It is nothing to do with private hospitals want money, they are greedy. No. Sounding an alarm that if this situation is not sorted out, by the next 3 to 4 months, there will be no health system. All hospitals will go back to pure cash. Pure cash, because nurses have to be paid. You can't pay nurses with promises. How will they pay their landlords? How will they take their children to school? Suppliers have supplied drugs. Even KEMSA, which supplies government, is in big debt. We have a big issue, and we are urging the government to get away from the issue of when we ask for money, we are cartels. But when we were providing services, we were angels.
So we're going to go to hear what is actually happening on the ground. Well, of course, we're getting comments and we want to hear what some of those are. So do send us your comments. Our lines are open on our socials this morning on YouTube, X, and on Facebook. We want to hear experiences of folks going into the system and seeing exactly what that is all about. And so this is an all-inclusive conversation. Our Baraza panel is here as well to give some insights into this, because there is what it is on paper, Dr. Lishenga.
Yes.
There is what is in the law, and then there is what is on the ground in terms of what is actually happening.
Palichini.
Exactly. So we want to go into some of that a little bit, and we'll start to then take some views from our Baraza this morning, and we'll just start with where the mic is right now. You just let us know your name and what it is that you do. And my first question is posed to you. We'll take the gentleman here in the middle. That tell us your name and what you do, and then give us the situation as per what you said, because we know that you are a community health promoter, and you'll tell us what area you are in and exactly what's happening with what you've heard and what you have seen.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
My name is Samuel Mutua. I'm a CHP from Pajenga, Mukuru. I work with the Ministry of Health.
Okay.
And county government. So,
yes, Kiswahili ni sawa, ongea Kiswahili, hakuna shida.
Sawa. So, kwa pale kwa Jenga, sisi ni madaktari wa mtaani. Na pale kwa Jenga kuna, kama vile mnajua, ni kijiji. Kuna challenges mingi katika kijiji. Sana sana tangu wakati hii mambo ya SHA ilipoanza. Tumekuwa na challenges nyingi kwa sababu kabla watu wana kijiji waelewe what is SHA na wakubali kuregister, it take time. It take time kuwaelimisha, kwa sababu ni jambo tu lilikuja kwa ghafla. Watu kuelewa vile watu wanaweza kaelewa na mambo katika hizi hapa kama huku tu kwa makazi haya mengine, sio vile watu wanaelewa na mambo pale kijijini. Sometimes it take wakati mrefu sana jambo likitangazwa na serikali haswa kuhusu afya, au watu wetu hao ambao tunaishi nao pale vijijini kuelewa ama kufikia kwa haraka. So SHA it take time. Naona imebidi tukue tukuelimisha. Wengi wamelikubali na wakaanza kuregister mambo ya SHA. but bado kuna challenges kulingana vile ile SHA inafanya kazi. Sometimes kwa wengine inafanya, saa zingine inasumbua.
Ukisema inasumbua aje? Sasa
kusumbua ni wakati wa registration. You see? Unapata kuna mtu amechelewa kuelewa mambo ya SHA. Amekuja katika huduma hospitali kutafuta huduma hospitalini. Ameambiwa lazima aregister. Ajiandikishe kwa ile SHA. Yule mtu unapata labda hakuwa tayari na hakuwa anaelewa lile jambo. Amelisikia wakati amefika wapi? Kwa hospitali. Na katika ile hospitali anaambiwa lazima akitaka kuhudumiwa lazima ajiandikishe katika SHA. You see? Na yule mtu labda mtu hana pesa. Unapata zile challenge zinaturudia sisi kama ma CHPs. Kwa sababu ule mtu umemwandikia, kuna kitu tunaitanga referrals. Amekuja kama kwa nyumba zako katika kazi ya CHPs kuna hizi units. Kwa kijiji chetu kama Jenga ward tuko na units karibu 7. Ni 7. Tuko na units 7 katika Jenga ward. Kila unit ina sehemu yake. Na unit moja inakuanga na CHPs 10. Wale CHPs 10 kila moja ako na nyumba 100. 100 households. Naona. Katika zile 100 households unapata ile nyumba ambayo iko na ile familia ambayo iko na watu wachache ni watu 4.
Okay.
You see?
So tuseme watu 40 already.
Sio 40. Ukihesabu nyumba 100. 100 households.
Okay, 100. Okay, time 400 people.
400 people.
Okay.
Ambao wanahudumiwa na mtu mmoja. Na miaka ni unaweza kapata mtoto ule first born ni 15 years. Na ule mdogo ako na 2 years ama 1 year. Na hao watu nafaa kuhudumia wote. You see? Unajua maisha pale kijijini kunang'ana. So, ikifika ni wakati wa huduma, lazima kuja kwako kama CHP, akuelezea, umwandike, kama ukitembelea zile nyumba unapata kuna shida, umwandike ile referral mtume kwa hospitali. So hapo kwa hospitali ndio mambo yanaanzanga. Ule mtu maybe akuregister ile SHA. Na ni lazima hudumiwe na ile shida ni urgent. Hasa shida za watoto. Unapata ule mtoto anahitaji ahudumiwe pale kwa pale. But because mzazi anaweza kuregister ile SHA, unapata ule mtoto itabidi atoke pale atafute private.
Kwa nini? Hiyo ndio swali nauliza. Kwa nini? Kwa hiyo hospitali hakuna nini? Hakuna madaktari ama nini? Madaktari. Hajalipa ama shida ni nini?
Shida ni ukiregister SHA.
Umeregister lakini haujalipa.
Okay. Na before uhudumiwe kwa hospitali za serikali lazima upeane kitambulisho.
Okay.
Waangalie. Unaona? Wacheck kama you are registered na umelipa.
Okay, so that's going to one of the problems that Dr. Lishenga is talking about here, where he says everybody's being told register, but people are not being told pay. Okay, let's hear from a number of other people. Let's hear from you, madam, in the back. Will you please tell us your name and what you do?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Catherine Cheva. Nafanya kazi pale Maradaina.
Just speak up a little bit, ma'am, so we can hear you, Catherine.
Okay. Mimi majina yangu naitwa Catherine Cheva. Na mimi ni mhuduma wa afya. Community promoter.
Yeah.
Nafanya na Jenga Hospital level 4. Na niko saidi Maradaina ward. So challenge ile tunapata pale, unapata ni SHA. SHA unapata mtu ana register, lakini ukifika wakati wa kulipa, sometimes unaenda pale unapata unaambiwa ulipe 1 year. Hama unaenda una register kwa cyber. Vile nimeletewa na italetewa 850, mimi nilipe. Mwingine aletewa 650, mwingine aletewa 500. So unaona huwa ina differ. Na italetewa hiyo 850 na niwe sina uwezo wa kupata hiyo 850. Niseme okay, sitalipa hiyo 850, after all nitakuwa naenda chemist. Ninunue dawa pale kama ni painkillers. Because ukienda kwa government hospital utaenda uambiwe ulipe SHA. Una hiyo pesa ya kulipa. Ama utalipa 1 year. Unaweza pata kuna wale beneficiaries nimebeba kwa familia yangu. Naweza kuwa niko na watoto na hawana birth certificate, so hata benefit kutoka kwangu.
Okay, we're going to sort out a sound issue. Just kidogo Catherine, tutarudi hivi alafu tutarudi kwako tuendelee na hiyo story kidogo. As we try to sort that out. So, Doc, even as we are hearing already, before we get to more folks here, it just goes to what you're saying, that everybody can register. That is fantastic. But if you don't pay, then we will not be able to offer service. So then government is right. They've been saying for the longest time that SHA is working. As of Sunday, there were politicians who stood on dioceses across churches and said, SHA is working. So from what I'm hearing so far, what we're hearing, they're right. SHA, if as it was originally designed, with all the moving parts in place, then SHA is working.
Yes, they actually are saying that when they go to hospitals, their experience is opposite, because at the point of access to service, there are two issues. One, during the registration, the premiums, and the lady is saying the premiums vary: 850, 500, 650, 1,000. Obviously, this is very unpopular. Because say you live in the same neighborhood, you have the same circumstances, your children go to the same place, your rent is about the same. People are wondering, and they talk to each other.
Yeah.
So why am I paying 850 and Dennis is paying 500 and we are just next door? We are both.
We are in the same.
Yeah, we are the same. So first of all, that's extremely unpopular. And we actually told the drafters of SHA that this method, which they are calling proxy means testing, where you ask somebody, do you have electricity, do you have water, is your house tiled, how many children are in school, how much is your rent, how much you spend on this method is going to be very, very unpopular, because after some time people will realize that the premium I get is dependent on the answers I give. Isn't it? And people will start gaming the system. Now, those who don't get this knowledge early will end up paying very high premiums, as they are saying, number one. Two, the requirement that you pay 1 year in advance for you to access care. That has also become very unpopular. And people are actually asking, we used to pay monthly under NHIF and we get care. Why is it that now under SHA we have to pay for a full year? 850, by the way, as Madam was saying, translates to 10,000 in 1 year. Really, how many Kenyans, if you just ambush them on the road with an illness tomorrow, tell them, give me 10,000.
10,000 up front.
It now becomes another burden to them. The other thing that they are bringing out very clearly is the issue of the care at the facilities. It's coming out as a point which we did not address. So the politicians are saying SHA is working. We are reversing the question and asking, for who? Is working for who? Maybe it's working for you, for your political sound bites, for you to be able to go on TV and say it's working, and to mobilize people to vote or something like that. But is it working for the people? And they are very clever about this. In Kenya, over 1 year, only 20% of Kenyans will go to hospital. So these politicians with their sound bites are targeting the 80% who don't go to hospital and who therefore don't know the truth. So they are not giving the voice to the people who actually are accessing the service. And this is the problem. This is the real problem. So I'll go back and say this way, that there are three people SHA has to work for. SHA has to work for three groups. SHA has to work for patients. And SHA will not work for patients when patients are being asked to pay 1 year in advance and their premiums are much higher. That's number one. Number two, SHA has to work for hospitals. If hospitals are not receiving timely payments, if you ask hospitals will say SHA is not working. The third people is SHA has to work for the payer. That is, it has to work for itself. Now, if you ask the SHA people, it depends on which day of the week you find them. If you find them on a good day, they say SHA is working, you see, patients are being treated. But that's dependent on hospitals. On a bad day, they say SHA is not working, you see, hospitals are stealing.
Stealing what?
SHA money, which is not there.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, we laugh because sometimes you are trying to diffuse the pressure in terms of, what the situation on the ground is. And if you just look at a prescribed situation whereby you pay a certain amount of money, you expect that whatever the case, when you go to hospital, then you will be treated based on this model that we are essentially working under. That is what the case should be. So we're working with twin problems here.
No, let me shock you, Ndu. We have a lot of CHPs here, and I have worked with CHPs in my home county. Trying to do health promotion in the villages, and you know what CHPs shocked me? They told me that they are helping people register for SHA, but they themselves cannot register for SHA. And this is the irony that community health promoters are out there in going door to door in the community, register. And by the way, they also told me that people have become so clever these days. It is the CHPs themselves who are telling people how to answer the questions so that the premium goes down. And we told the government that please, hii system ya kuuliza watu, asking people about their living standards will never work. You would rather just have a flat rate that common mwananchi can manage. And the president, he came out. In fact, this is why people supported SHA initially, because he said, ule mtu wa chini, the person who is at the bottom, will not pay more than 300 shillings. And people felt like that was a lot of relief. But their lived experience is different. So CHPs are telling us that when they themselves took proxy means testing, the premium they were given, they could not afford. Because, the stipend that CHPs get isn't much. And so you're saying a CHP does a proxy means for themselves. It says your contribution is 1,500, 1,200, 1,000. It's expensive. It's unaffordable for them. But, the question then, because I started by saying that SHA is not raising enough money. I started by saying that compared to the number of people going to hospital, the claims we are generating, SHA is not raising sufficient money. The public are saying SHA premiums are too costly. Okay, so even as it is now, they are costly. The other reason why, and I know they will talk about this, is people used to go to certain hospitals, level 4 hospitals, level 5 hospitals, for their care. And now you are required to start at level 2, level 3. You start at a lower dispense. Even if you have a very serious problem, you have to start at the lowest facility for you to get a referral to go to the next. Sometimes you find that the hospital that is closest to you is that level 4 or that level 5. But now you are being forced to travel, you go and find a health center or a dispensary, and then you start again the process. These are all the accumulated problems that have made SHA very, very unpopular. We need to ask ourselves, why is it that when NHIF was at the last year of NHIF, we had 1.8 million Kenyans contributing. 1.8 million Kenyans contributing voluntary every month. Sometimes it would go to as high as 2 million Kenyans. Now, today under SHA, we have never gone beyond 1 million Kenyans contributing voluntary.
Why?
That is the question. We need to ask ourselves, why is it that half of the Kenyans who used to contribute voluntarily under NHIF have chosen to just stay out? They're just watching. And there are many reasons that are coming out here. One, the premiums. Okay, the premiums are problematic. The requirement that you pay annually. The hospitals that you used to go, now you can't use those hospitals. Now, there's also the political messaging that just register, you don't need to pay. Now, this political messaging is extremely dangerous because, as I said, we have 26 million Kenyans registered under SHA right now, more than we had under NHIF. Now, the vast majority of these guys have been told, wewe register wenda hospitali matibabu ni bure for outpatient. Now, when they go to outpatient, some hospitals actually offer them free care once they confirm you have registered. Now, we have argued that 9 out of 10 reasons why people go to hospital are outpatient reasons. So 9 out of 10 times when people go to hospital, they don't need admission. 1 out of 10 times they may need an admission. Now, can you imagine if 9 out of 10 of the reasons why you go to a hospital is free? You have been told usilipe. You only have one time when you need to have paid. Who is going to contribute?
And it's interesting because I'm looking at Ruto's scorecard at 3 years. Amongst other things that he had promised, from agriculture to security to governance, devolution, healthcare was really, really key, and the promises that he made. And it's interesting your last comments in terms of the political interpretation of this. Universal healthcare was a very, very big point, and the reason why people are really keen to understand. Okay, so finally we're going to afford medical care when we go to hospitals. But I'm curious to know from our panel, how many of you, by a show of hands, you fully understand SHA from the point of registrations to understanding the premiums that need to be paid to who then qualifies to actually benefit from SHA, understanding inpatient and outpatient? How many here and fully understand SHA? See the shock. None of them fully is aware or understands then how SHA is essentially supposed to work. Then how do you communicate this messaging? Because the idea here is it's top down. So no stakeholder engagements, no training, no explanations, no talking to the people and explaining this is how this thing is going to work. And I will throw the question back to our panel, and we can hear more of the experiences, the questions that they hear from people, the engagements with the local people who are supposed to be then consumers of this. We'll go with the lady with the microphone.
Right. Thank you. My name is Lena Mati. I'm a lawyer and also double as a public administration advocate. I want to start here being a public administration advocate. One of the problems that I feel we have as a country, right from the government to even us as a people, is the fact that critical decisions, critical debates like healthcare are not centered on what the experts are saying. They are centered on what the politicians are saying. Just want to echo what Dr. has said. Because you'll find that, and I appreciate for this conversation, you'll find that when you go to even the media, our media is filled with politicians coming to talk about healthcare. But you look, a politician is in Camp A, let's say Camp A is government. So when a politician comes to a media space to talk about healthcare, of course they're going to favor SHA. Why? Because it's their work. It's your work as the government to support the government policies. You look at someone in Camp B, probably in opposition. Of course, because you're in opposition, it is your role to oppose the policies. So because of that, you cannot be able to look at things from a neutral point of view. And that's why I also thank that Dr. is here, because now we can be able to get an expert opinion. You can be able to get a neutral point of view, someone that doesn't have any political affiliations. They can come and tell us that, these are the things that are working and this is not, and this is what is not working. Anyway, besides that, I'm looking at why is it that why did the government come up with SHA? They felt like probably the NHIF that we had since around 1966 wasn't effective. It was outdated, it was inefficient, and there were also allegations of corruption. So when you ask me whether SHA is working, I find that to be a little bit more shallow. Yesterday, before I came for this interview yesterday, and actually even today in the morning, I managed to call up some friends of mine and ask them, have you used SHA before? Has it worked for you? Out of the 5 that I asked, 2 told me that it has worked for them or their family members. The 3 haven't registered. They don't even know how it operates.
Okay.
So now I'm asking myself, because one of the reasons why we came from NHIF was to increase coverage, make it efficient, deal with corruption and all those things. Has SHA managed to cure that? That should be the point of debate. When you talk about coverage, has it been able to cover a lot of people? Has it been able to cover the informal sector, the vulnerable, the poor? Can they be able to access health, in an affordable rate? Look at it in this way. Right now, we have the Primary Healthcare Fund. The Primary Healthcare Fund is funded by the government together with the Emergency Fund. And then the rest, the contributions, we contribute to the SHIF. So Primary Healthcare Fund, when you go to the hospital, I heard that, it's allocated 900 shillings per year. To be honest, 900 shillings is too small, to even cater for basic healthcare. 900 shillings divided by, let's say, probably get like 3 times. That's almost like 300. And this is why Kenyans are coming up and saying, I'm going out to the hospitals to get outpatient services, basic healthcare services, but I'm not capable of getting them at that cost. So I have to dig deeper into the pocket and get more from use more money to be able to afford these services. So is it really working? Secondly, look at it in terms of corruption. Has it been able to cure corruption? They always say that a good system, no matter how sophisticated it is, no matter how well-intentioned it is run by people, So if there is no goodwill from the people, in terms of personal interest to be able to deal with this system with the good, to be able to put effort in dealing with this system, then you're not going to have anything. It is still be vulnerable to corruption. And that's what I feel like SHA hasn't been able to achieve. On one side, I feel like, yes, there's something that she has done. But on the other side, I also feel like there's also something that you are missing out. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's hear from a number of others. We'll hear from you, ma'am. Just tell us your name and where you are operating as a CHP from. Let's use this other microphone, please. Well, actually, go ahead, Catherine. Catherine, you can switch back, it's fine.
I'm Catherine Nyongesa. Ninafanya na community health promoter Njenga Imaradaima ward. Attached to Njenga level 4 hospital.
Okay.
Sasa kulingana na vile tunaongea, mimi on my side naweza sema NHIF was a bit fair kulingana na hii SHA ya saizi. Juu SHA ya saizi actually ni shida. Hata mimi mwenyewe I'm a health promoter lakini si access. Aje tuliambiwa SHA inakuja kutuletea a bit fair kuliko NHIF. Aje kwa malipo. Tukaambiwa tutakuwa tunalipa ya chini less than not more than 300 shillings. But saa hizi ukienda ukiuliza hizo maswali utajibu ni yale maswali tu ya kawaida but tricky. Inakuletea kitu kama 1000 plus. Unajiuliza sasa, I was paying 500 kwa NHIF and I was not able in other parts. Na sahi kama inakuja 1000, will I be able? Unaona unashindwa. Unaweza register ulipe, tulikuwa tunalipa hapo nyuma monthly.
Okay.
Una struggle, unalipa hiyo mwezi. Sasa ukienda pale, unaambiwa you must pay for a year. Sasa a year, if you are paying 1000 shillings, that is 12,000. Unasimama unasema sasa mimi 12,000, if I am able to pay 1,000, how will I pay?
Kama una struggle.
Yes, 12,000 once.
Catherine, wacha nikuulize, watu wanalipa ndio wapate usaidizi kwa hospitali.
Yes.
Si ati unalipa ukingoja, unalipa wakati kuna shida.
Saa hii ukienda pale, for example huko umeregister, utaenda pale uambiwe first you register.
Okay.
So unajua when I will register nitapata service. Unafika pale unaambiwa hautapata service without paying 1 year
in advance. Okay.
Unakuwa stranded, unarudi nyuma. Haya, nilikuwa nimeregister hapo nyuma, nimelipa. Nimelemewa. Unaambiwa kuna fine, sijui inapigwa ngapi. Kuna fine. Ulipe, alafu ulipe hiyo 1 year. Do get service. Sasa mimi najiuliza, kama tuliambiwa na government, yes, wanataka tuwe level moja. Mimi maoni yangu ingekuwa tungeambiwa tulipe kama niyo 3,300 sisi wote level mo au watu wa chini. Which means isha ni watu wengine wale wanajiweza zaidi kuliko watu wengi na ugonjwa naye haijui hiyo.
Yeah.
Sasa tunajiuliza kweli SHA itatusaidia ama tutafanya aje?
Okay. Tutarudi. Let's go to you, ma'am. You ni sawa.
Okay. My name is Edith Wangari. I work for an advocacy group that works at grassroots level. And on this topic of SHA, whether is it working or is not working, the other week we were in Merti, in the interior-most part of Isiolo, and we had an accountability forum whereby we called the community itself, we called the healthcare workers, so that we can have a very conclusive conversation. Where is the problem? And part of the problem was the lack of information, whereby women and the community are saying we are not publicly engaged in these things that deals with health. We are just when the laws are there, we're just being told do this and to do this. So there's no public participation in any way whatsoever. So we can't really accept that we're supposed to pay this money because we really do not understand where is it going to. So there is that lack of public participation, lack of information at community level that's leading to even all this confusion around SHA, whether should I pay or not, because you haven't seen it working and now you're being told you have to pay so that you see it working. But if you go to the health facility and your friend has told you, I went there, I'm registered and it's not working, then even you'll just step back and say, I'm also not registering and I'm not paying for this SHA.
Okay, we're going to take a break because we're at the top of the hour. We're going to come back and continue because we need to hear from everybody here in terms of experiences. So let's take that break at 9:01. We'll be back after this. It's the Spice Health Baraza this morning. We're looking at the state of health in the country. Of course, SHA is a big ticket item. We'll be back after this. Don't go away.
Amla Ubaga. The Law Society of Kenya has called on the DCI to immediately launch a thorough probe into the killing of advocate Kialo Mbombu, describing the attack as a chilling threat to the safety of legal practitioners in the country. In a statement, LSK President Faith Odhiambo noted that advocates are increasingly targeted for performing their constitutional duties, saying Mbombu's murder underscores the urgent need for heightened protection. Mbombu was shot dead last evening in a drive-by attack in Karen with an assailant who fled the scene on a motorcycle.
Kama saa 11 tukielekea na 40 nikasikia nje kama mlio wa pikipiki huwa zinatoa sauti fulani twa. After kusikia hiyo fire burst nikasikia nduru watu wanapiga. Nikaambia wenye tulikuwa na watu wanapiga nduru ni nini? Twende tuone kwa barabara. Kufika pale hiyo gari nayo ilikuwa imegonga Nissan. Sasa mama walikuwa kwa hiyo Nissan tukawauliza ni nini? Wakasema wameua mtu hapa na wao watu wametoroka na pikipiki wameenda. Wale mama wakawa wanalia pale. Sasa tukaona mapolisi wakaanza kukuja. Wenye walikuwa kwa gari wanasema walikuwa watu wawili, wakati alishoot alikimbia tu na kukalia yenye ilikuwa tayari pale juu. Kufika tutapata mtu ameshika tu steering, mtu wako smart, anatoka job, amefanya nini? Amekaa ameenda.
And some MPs from Kakamega County have strongly condemned the actions of leaders who hurled insults and made inappropriate remarks at public meetings, which they claim could spark a major conflict between their supporters. Speaking at separate meetings held in Ikolomani, Khwisero, Shinyalu and Malava constituencies, MPs Bernard Shinyalu of Ikolomani, Nabi Nabwere of Lugari, Christopher Aseka of Khwisero, Elsie Muhanda of Kakamega, Peter Nabulindo of Matungu, Freddy Kana of Shinyalu and Titus Hamala of Lurambi said they would never accept the politics of hurling insults and using youth to create chaos at public meetings.
Sisi hapa tuwezi simama tudharau mheshimiwa Oparanya. Amefanya kazi. Hiyo tunataka ikome. Sasa ninatusiwa kila mahali. Kweli hiyo ni mzuri. Mnaweza kubali nitusiwe kila mahali? Mambo ya guns wachana nayo. Mambo ya kubebana na security wachana nayo. Kama unataka vijana kwa barabara, keti nao kwa barabara msungumze. Lakini kwa matanga, kwa mikutano, mambo ya kubeba vijana na kuleta vuruku tuachane nayo.
The leaders also used the opportunity to urge residents of the Western region to support President William Ruto's administration in order to benefit from development projects.
Ukitaka chumi unaenda kwa jirani ama unaenda kwa nani? Unaenda kwa jirani? Ruto ndio jirani yetu na huyo ndio tutafuata.
Huyu mtu mnasema Kashakwa, huyo hata mimi siongeangi kwa sababu kuko Olugari wa mjui. Nikianza kuongea watu wananiuliza ni nani huyo. Mtu ule analeta chakula kwa meza, ananijengea barabara, ananijengea hospitali, ananijengea stadium, kule kwangu amenipea soko 3, kule kwangu amenipea library. Huyo ndio mimi nitatembea na yeye.
And this comes just days after Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen visited Kakamega County and warned politicians against hanging out with thugs and funding gangs. Detectives are investigating the murder of a man whose body was found lying on the roadside with his middle finger chopped off in Kilgoris Town, Kajiado County. The body of Linus Latea aged 30, was found lying on the road in a pool of blood about 40 meters from his house. Police said they found a rungu tied around his waist and there was no struggle at the scene, indicating he was killed elsewhere and the body dumped there. The motive of the murder was not immediately known. Remember to continue enjoying EPL services by listening to our radios. That is Berur, Radio Maisha, and right here on Spice FM. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM. Nairobi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice.
9 o'clock, and we continue on the Spice Baraza this morning, and we are looking into matters health. But before we do that, let me remind you that just now, 6 minutes ago, folks started streaming into the Boma Inn in Eldoret, and it's the 10th of September. So what does that mean? That the Study Abroad World Fair is kicking off in Eldoret this morning. It happened in Mombasa just 2 days ago, and one will happen on the 13th. That's this Saturday in Nairobi at the Movenpick Hotel. What's happening here? Well, Cradle, which is the largest study abroad platform in Africa, is putting together students with possible destinations and possible institutions of higher learning. So students and parents can go and actually find out what you need to know about all that your university education would demand, whether it's visa support, whether it's applications for accommodation, whether it's applications to get into the school in the first place, whether it's realizing which destination you should actually go to according to what your career desires are for the future. So all of this will be matched for you, and you can get an opportunity to sit and talk face to face with representatives from a lot of these institutions. You need to do it today. If you are not in Eldoret and you are in Nairobi, you missed the Mombasa one, but folks then who went for that then got all the information they needed by the end of the day. You want to attend this one in Eldoret, or you can attend the one in Nairobi that happens on the 13th. We need to invite you. It's for free, but you need to register. www.cradle.com or call on 0799 000 444. Spice Baraza continues this morning, and we're looking into matters of health. Of course, SHA is front and center in terms of what it is providing as it pertains to universal health care. Our panel this morning also joined by Dr. Brian Lishenga, and we're looking at issues around what then health actually does look like. We're going to hear from a number of you, two gentlemen to my right here, and we'll just hear from you, your names and what you do, and let us know what the situation is on the ground. And it was interesting, that question that you asked Okari earlier, that we don't even understand how the thing is supposed to work.
Yes, exactly.
In the first place.
I mean, you are supposed to then educate the public or explain the process to the people coming to you, and you yourself are not even aware how this thing goes. Then there's a very, very big problem. But there's another conversation that the problem we're also having is that people are going to register and pay premiums at the point when they are sick. So ukifika pale hospitali ndio sasa unataka matibabu, then unajikuta ujaregister, hapo ndio unataka kwanza kuregister na uanze kulipa, unlike how it was working with NHIF. I don't know whether that is also another issue that now is on a problem that is now coming from this other end. And the gentleman with the microphone at the back, you can stand and then say your name, what you do, and your comments.
My name's Joseph Macharia, community member and youth leader at Kariobangi North, and I'm also a member of Kariobangi Social Justice Center and Mama Zetu CBO, and also a CHP community health promoter. Mm-hmm. So I would like to state part of the Constitution, Article 43, Part 1 of the Constitution states that every person has the right to the highest attainable standard of health, which includes the right to healthcare services and reproductive health. But from my angle of understanding and view of SHA, it was a good project and idea. I think it was borrowed from the western side of the world, but it has faced a lot of glitches and hitches here and there because we didn't build the right infrastructure at the inception stage. So that's why we are seeing issues of like currently we are still facing issues of inadequate medical supplies at the healthcare facilities. We still don't have we are still having inadequate number of medical personnel at the health facilities. That's why we are also having issues of interns striking, the nuns on the strike, because SHA is not yet self-sustaining. So as much as it is being inasifiwa sana na wanasiasa, bado iko na changamoto sana mingi hapa kwa ground. Na ndiyo maana there is a lot of mistrust about SHA because there was no enough public awareness and understanding about SHA. So I think we still have a long way to go, and just like Daktari has said, if SHA doesn't maybe clear the debts that are being owed to the public and private facilities, in the next maybe few months we'll be having a crisis, and it's a high time that the government takes charge of the situation, and so that tuweze kufanya kazi safi kwa wananchi pale kwa ground like CHPs, sababu tukienda pale kwa households, people still think that SHA is like NHIF, ile ambayo ulikuwa tunachukua NHIF unaregister kama ni bibi ama mzee, pale ndani yake tunaweka bibi na watoto wanakava wote hivyo. Lakini sasa SHA ni different, sababu as long as you are 18 years old, you are an individual on your own na unafaa kuwa covered on your own self. So tunapata inakuwa na hizo changamoto, sababu ndio umeregister, but if kama wewe ni CHP na ujui kujaza zile premium test questions, utajipata kwa shida, sababu utajazia client and then pale premiums zikikuja pale chini, the monthly premiums, unapata the amount is too high. Like mimi nilijijazia yangu, and monthly yangu ikakuja ikaingia 1200. So if you multiply 1200 times 12 months, that is 14,400. And if you look at my incomes and revenues, they don't even total to that in a month.
Collectively.
Yeah, collectively. So unapata mimi kulipa ile 1200 in a month, naona kidogo ni challenge, because kwa akili yangu mimi nilikuwa najua pengine ni ile ya 300 ingekuja kidogo haingeniumiza. So naona kuna changamoto mingi, na we still have a long way to go.
A long way to go.
Thank you.
And what about you, sir?
Hello, my name is Steven Odongo. I work at the grassroots level of Kariobangi North with the young mothers, matters maternal and newborn health, and the experiences of SHA out there are different. Many people are still stuck in between the old NHIF and the SHA, and they are wondering what next. We are told to register, but there is no clear explanation of what happened to our contributions on NHIF. And now the problem is there is no clear information. The politicians are just politicizing the matter. And currently, I'm working, for example, with a cancer patient who is required to pay an upfront of up to 1 year in premiums to SHA before she starts the chemo processes.
Okay.
And now she has to stay at home to raise that money. A person who cannot even afford that common bread. So the cancer is eating into the body because it's waiting to pay for 1 year treatment. So it's a challenge.
So I'm sorry, Odongo, 1 year treatment or 1 year of premiums?
1 year of premiums.
Okay.
Yes. And for that is difficult for people without income. Recently, doctors have been on strike, and many people ran to private hospitals to get assistance for those who are delivering. They go there and they are told that, you know, if you are going to deliver through a CS, without SHA, you will pay up to 60,000 cash. And with SHA, you will pay a little bit lower. So they are like, I cannot even raise that 1 year payment. Where am I going to get 60,000 cash? So it is a problem that is facing the people at the grassroots level.
Let's stay there a little bit more, Dongo. Can we kidogo too? So this is a woman who is not going to get pregnant. Si ati anafikiria atapata mimba mbeleni. Saa hii akona mimba, right?
Yeah.
Anafaa kuenda kujifungua, sindio?
Yeah.
And she's told ukileta cash ni 60,000.
60,000.
Na ulikuwa umeshasema kupata chakula on a daily basis is already an issue,
it's an issue,
right?
Yes.
And we are now saying kujifungua utalipa 60,000 kama unaleta cash.
Yes.
It's a little bit less with SHA, but SHA haujalipa hiyo 12,000 for the year.
Yes.
So the question is, wamama wanaenda kujifungua wapi?
Now that is where the problem is, yeah, because that already adds to the existing problems for most health centers down there, where even when you have paid that premium, the beds are not enough. Some health facilities do not even have medicine. They have to write for you to get it out there. Yeah, so it is a problem, and I think we need to have a serious conversation about the whole SHA stuff, and that the politicians, the leaders need to come out and to start telling people the truth, that we need to build trust with SHA, because this is public money. If they messed up the old NHIF, then this new model, it's a good idea, but can we have a clear conversation with everybody so that they can understand what they are dealing with and they can benefit? Because few people maybe they are benefiting from it, but many are still questioning what is it. Yeah.
Maybe we can hear from this gentleman who hasn't spoken, and then we can go to Daktari.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Simon. I'm a community gatekeeper at Mukuru. And also I'm the chairman of Embaka South Community Health Promoters Association. That's Association of CHPs. And also working as a coordinator in the climate works in Mukuru Kwanjenga. So for now, on the issues of SHA, that is working, not working, to me is like you are not seeing trees and the forest at the same time. Because current people are jobless, some are so vulnerable, such that to afford medical services through SHA, they can't. And one of the president was saying that the vulnerables would be allowed to be treated free. Yet, there's no criteria, there's no mechanism put in place to identify the beneficiaries. So, that meaning all clients who are sick at the households, they are yet to get to hospital because they can't afford. Simply because when you get into any hospital, you ask a public hospital, you ask for SHA. That's the first time. And if you are not registered, then duly you have to get registered, and you have to pay for the treatment. So you just get away. They are getting to the chemist around.
What? Okay. Sorry. People are coming to hospital with issues, with medical problems.
The vulnerables.
Tell me some of the issues. Ugonjwa gani wanakujanga hospital nayo?
So kuna watu wanapitia magonjwa kama NCDs.
Kama nini?
Kuna
high blood pressure,
diabetes. That's also cancer.
Cancer.
Tuweke zote hapa.
Sasa ukikuja ukienda hospitali na wanakuambia uwezi pata usaidizi juu haujalipa
SHA.
Unaenda kwa chemist.
You just unaishia tu kutoka tu kurudi kwa nyumba.
Kufanya nini?
Na hauna njia utatibiwa. Hauna njia. Unless you get a cash. Unaenda public hospital, private hospitals. You get a cash.
Unasema watu wanarudi nyumbani juu hawajapata usaidizi, wanarudi na ugonjwa, wanarudi kwa nyumba.
Yes.
I want to talk to Catherine just a little bit. You had tried to talk to us before we had a bit of a sound issue. Ndio shida pia wewe unaona, ulisema unafanya kazi huko Mkuru.
Yes.
Okay, tell us please.
Mimi naona pale unaenda unaregister. Watu wengi wameregister. Yes. Lakini kulipa hawajalipa. Kuregister si ni free. Mtu anaenda register. Akimaliza kuregister anakaa tu. Siku ya kwenda hospitali ndio anaenda anaambiwa pale mpaka ulipe 1 year. Ndio access services. As for me, nilikuwa na client nikalipa 1 year 6,000. Alikuwa amelipishwa 500. Nikalipa 6,000. Alikuwa anaenda delivery. After 3 days kama amejifungua mtoto akawa discharge, then akawa mgonjwa, ikawa niende higher hospital. Vile nilienda ilibidi sasa for the first time nimelipa SHA 6,000. Sasa ni kwa outpatient. Nitoe pesa kwa mfuko. Nikienda pande hii unalipa, ukienda pande hii 3,000, ukienda pande hii 2,200, 300. At the end of the day akawa admitted. Though alikuja kutolewa yes na SHA. Lakini umelipa SHA ikusaidie. Na tena unaingia kwa mfuko unatoa cash. So hiyo kitu ikawa imenichanganya sana.
Kuna kitu umesema, kuna that example ya mtu ameregister lakini watu hawalipi. So watu wana register juu ni bure, hawalipi juu hawajui wanafaa kulipa, ama ni ile unajua unafaa kulipa lakini kwa sababu uko mgonjwa hakuna haja ya kulipa, lakini wacha ni register. Lakini ile siku uko mgonjwa ndio sana kimbia hospitali, then unaambiwa kwa system records zinaonyesha umeregister lakini hujalipa, sasa lipa
premium. Unapata nimeambiwa pale nilipe 8 kama mimi nimeambiwa nipe 650. Sina hiyo 650. So wakati mwingine unaona ni challenge kulipa. Sasa wanakosa kulipa kwa sababu ya pesa. Hawana hiyo pesa. Mtu amepewa pesa yenye hawezi lipa, hawezi pata. So anaona kuliko niendelee na kungangana na hii pesa, na mimi baby ni naumwa na kichwa. Naona niende pale chemist ninunue Panadol. Though sijapimwa lakini ninunue Panadol.
Na utakaa tu mpaka
sasa si ni hapo sasa. Hiyo ndio shida tuko nayo.
You know, it's interesting. I went to a chemist. I've just remembered this. I mean, this flu cold that is doing rounds.
Yeah.
So I went to this chemist and there was a queue. And I stood there waiting. I knew what I wanted to buy, but there was a queue. And what I observed is people are now resorting to use the people behind the counter to consult.
Yeah.
So you're going and explaining, because the assumption is this person who's giving you the medicine ni daktari. So naambia nasikia naumwa na kichwa, kifua unasikia, nasikia, na nasikia, because you're not paying for that, it's free. Then they will recommend medicine. The challenge now with that is it's so easy to take medicine from somebody who's not really qualified to diagnose because there's no testing at that chemist. And my question to Daktari, listening to this conversation, it almost, because I'm hearing two things. I'm hearing one, there is the issue of, looking at the general conversation, SHA and access. There's inadequate medical personnel, somebody raised it, that you go to a hospital, the doctors are not enough. Then there's the issue of lack of medicine. Even if you access, still not enough. So which brings me to the beds are not enough, which now brings us to this question. Giving universal health care and access, was SHA then fixing an access problem but not care? Because it almost seems like, fine, if you have paid the premiums and then you can access, there is another challenge. Either there are not enough doctors and nurses, there's not enough medication, or there's no equipment, you want to go for dialysis, there is nothing you can do, but you still have access. Is SHA fixing an access problem only?
So, first of all, the last 20 minutes, I have just been listening to the panel, and we have a very good panel. This is very intense, even for me to hear, despite being on the provider side. The experiences of Kenyans, vile mmesema kwa ground, and before I even, okay, let me just answer your question straight. So, SHA was not fixing an access problem. If you look at, SHA was fixing a funding problem. So the drafters of SHA, the idea they had in mind is that we need a lot more money to cover many more Kenyans. That NHIF wasn't covering enough Kenyans, because the total number of at peak, if you contributors plus dependents under NHIF was 15 million. 15 million, that's the best we did. We have a country which is 55 million going 60. So their argument was, you are only covering a quarter of the population. That is too few people. And therefore, a lot of people are incurring, the sound bites. Harambes will be over, all those things. So the first problem they tried to fix was a healthcare financing funding problem. And to that extent, they had some good ideas. Let me give you what the good ideas. Primary healthcare fund, independent, funded by parliament. Fantastic idea. Emergency chronic and critical illness fund, which was to align our financing with the constitution, that no Kenyan will be denied healthcare because of an emergency. So they set up the Emergency Chronic and Critical Illness Fund, again funded by Parliament. And then we have the elephant in the room called the SHIF Fund, which is what we are all discussing, the contribution. Now, if you realize, during the first budget, the financing to primary healthcare and emergency was very low. And people made a lot of noise about that financing. In this current budget, they increased it to 13 billion for primary healthcare and 10 billion for emergency chronic and critical illness fund. The 13 billion for primary healthcare is being dispersed. Some counties are getting, some counties have problems. About, some 8 or 10 counties have problems. Other counties are getting. The emergency chronic and critical illness fund, unfortunately, has not been activated. Even if you look at the data of claims coming in for ECCIF, it's for the 10 billion, the last one, a few months, they have only generated claims worth about 500 million. Very little, very small amount of claims. So that fund is not active. And if you ask them today whether they know, if I am in an emergency, I can go to Aga Khan, most people don't know. People know that I can go to Nairobi Hospital.
Can you go in an
emergency?
To
Mata. Yeah. According to the law, if today you have, you get run by, hit by a motorbike in Parklands, if you are Ruko Parklands, you are walking and you are hit by a boda accidentally. The law says you can be rushed to the nearest hospital, which will be Aga Khan Hospital or whichever.
And they must treat you.
And if you are SHA registered, even if the bill within the first 24 hours is 500,000, SHA should pay. But
how many people know this?
How many people know this? People don't know this. They don't know. If you have an accident somewhere on Agwings Kodek, and the nearest hospital is Nairobi Hospital, the law says for the first 24 hours, whatever bill they incur, even if it's 1 million, SHA will pay.
You'll pay.
Now, how many Kenyans know that?
Nobody knows
I am sure, even in the communities where you are, you see accidents every day, mtu amegongwa, and when they are taken to the hospital, they ask for money up front. But the thing is, the Emergency Chronic and Critical Illness Fund is funded, but it's not activated two reasons. I don't know why they are not educating people about this, to tell them this benefit is there. And number two, for us as providers within our SHA portal, we need to have activation of the module, so that when a patient comes in as an emergency, I know, okay, Erastus is here, he's been run by a vehicle, I will click here, I will submit a claim. That is not there. So the healthcare financing was the main issue. But I will say this: where is the rain beating us on the public side?
Yes.
Education, obviously, you can hear people don't know. And by the way, this government has been taken to court numerous times because of the issue of public participation. Numerous times. In fact, these SHA laws almost fell because of lack of public participation. They have not done effective public participation. The public participation they have been doing is for checking a box. They just want to show watu walikutana mahali, wakaongea, wakatick box. But they have not really invested in telling the Kenyan people, because, and I think largely is because of politics. Because if you know, when you take this thing to the ground and you tell people the reality that your premiums will go up, the politicians are afraid that it will make them unpopular. So they gloss over it. The other thing is, let me just, on that healthcare financing issue, somebody mentioned it here. If you are over 18, you are now a household, isn't it? If you are over 18, you are considered a household unless you show that you are in school or something. But generally, you are a household. So I want you to imagine families where you have mzee and mama and 3 children who are all over 18. Because, you know, we have employment crisis in this country. You know, a lot of kids are staying home well past 18 into 20s, even 30s now. Yes. Because, you know, there's no work out here for them to go do. So they stay in the same house. Now, that house with 4 people, everybody there is an adult, has an ID. Do you know everybody there is a contributor in that same house? And yet maybe the person who has income in that house is one person. Only one person. Now, these are the problems, you know, like, this is a major problem. We proposed to them. We proposed to them that instead of having everybody in the house being a contributor, because they will not, that burden is impossible. Okay? Why don't you have like a family package? You say, this house, nyumba iko na watu wanne, let us give them a flat rate. Wakilipa hiyo, the whole house is covered. These are basic things that they haven't done. The other basic thing is like with the lipa sha pole pole. You know, let lipa sha pole pole actually be lipa sha pole pole. It cannot, it should be micro premiums. Allow people to pay daily, weekly, monthly, kulingana na uwezo ya mtu.
That's an interesting, Dr. Leshenga. So I just want to hear, would it make sense, for example, Saeed, because we have people, and this is the scary thing for me, because when we look at other matters of health, I'm trying to imagine, if we just look at maternal care, there's Odongo works with maternal care, for example. A woman is pregnant to give birth. And she can't do that if she's not paid, obviously. And she doesn't have the cash, even if it was 20,000 shillings, which is a third of what it would cost at the hospital. Even if it was 20,000 bob, she doesn't have that money to pay. We already know, for example, that with maternal death, that postpartum hemorrhage is one of the highest causes of maternal death. We know cervical cancer is the number 2 killer for cancers in Kenya. The number 1 is breast cancer. These are non-communicable diseases that people cannot go and get treatment for in hospital. We can't even do prevention, which according to the Ministry of Health, we are going from curative to preventative care. Scanning cannot happen. So many things cannot happen at the same time. But a mother who is about to give birth, just as an example, and doesn't have the care, I'm still asking the question, where does she go? What does she do? Do we have more women giving birth at home? Do we have more women giving birth where she is and there's somebody who's going to rally around to help her? Because what are we talking about here? And that last question that you asked, do people, even if you were to pay a little, what would make sense? You know? Because these are the issues.
Maybe I can take the question of what would make sense. And we have proposed this. In this country right now, we think that a fair premium on average should be somewhere between 600 and 900 and no more. Should not go there. So that would be like the most effective premium. But we need to break it down to something like 20 bob a day, 150 a week, 300 a month, or whatever. We need to break it down to manageable levels so that wananchi can actually afford it. There are so many good ideas. For instance, why haven't we used chamas as aggregators for helping the community to pay? And chamas can do this very well. We have a lot of chamas out here. If you go to any particular ward, I don't know how many chamas you can find. You can find hundreds of chamas. But we can incentivize chamas to be collectors for us and give them a small token, 0.1, 0.5%. If your households are contributing under the chama, we give them some check, a bonus over the. Do you know what we are doing with these empowerment rallies that politicians are doing? You gather women groups and you give them, and people end up with 64 bobs, 100 bob. What if we converted those empowerments into shared drives, so that, for instance, if a chama is very effective in getting people to contribute this small amount of money, they get their 50K check. Okay. Why not?
Does it make sense? I mean, it's the lady in the purple. Sorry, just remind me your name, because you're talked about working in the grassroots. We know these chamas. We know women. Catherine, both Catherines can tell us. And also we know that it happens, for example, that you are in a chama whereby you're putting 50 bob on every Tuesday, you're putting 50 on Friday, you're putting 20 on Tuesday. So maybe in a week here, ukisema you can get 300 bob in the different chamas, and then on what day you collect. It happens, doesn't it? So would it make sense if for even this SHA, because it's a problem, people are sick, right? Would it make sense if they say, put a little bit of money, if 20 bob a day, because you can gather it, 20 bob a day, let it go towards SHA. If that came up, would it make sense?
I absolutely agree. It will make sense in that perspective. But there's a survey that we conducted where we asked women, what do they want for their health? And surprisingly, one of the key things that they say they want is money. So it comes down to money. But where do we get this money? This woman can't afford the 6,000 per year that she's been requested for. But with the 10 shillings, 20 shillings each day, she's able to contribute that money towards the M-Pesa. If you can have the M-Pesa, what the doctor was saying, let's have the Lipa Pole Pole for the SHA. So we... And the question around even maternal health, because we also work within maternal health, where right now we are seeing a rise in women now giving birth through the traditional birth attendants. At least during the Linda Mama, those cases were coming down. But right now we are seeing a rise, and also we are seeing also a rise in maternal health, in newborn health. And today, even the WHO is now... The key things that they are focusing on is bringing down the maternal deaths and neonatal deaths. But if we cannot fix the financing issue, then I don't see ourselves fixing the maternal health crisis that is happening, fixing the neonatal death crisis that's happening at the community levels. And we have CHPs here, and they will tell you, right now women are afraid to go to the hospital to seek the skilled birth attendants because they know they'll get charged. Within Linda Mama, you'll go in and come out and your services are free. But right now you have to consider now, I have to have cotton wool. For example, we provided even some cotton wool within the communities, because you're asked, you cannot go to this hospital without cotton wool, and cotton wool is one of the essentials that you need when giving birth. So if this woman does not have that cotton wool, what will she do?
Wait, just hang on there. This is very heavy. And sorry, I mean, it's your reality on the ground. On this other side, these are horrendous stories we're hearing. So you're saying this mother has to look for cotton wool. Is this communication from hospital that, look, ukikuja kuja kama umejipanga, or how is it happening?
It's communication from the hospital. You come with the maternity pads or the cotton wool that you need. So even when we're doing activations around, we are teaching mothers about maybe how to take care of their pregnancy at community level and giving them basic information. They tell us now, you've given us the information, but when I go to the hospital to give birth, I need that cotton wool. I need that to provide that cotton wool. I need that maternity pad, and I don't have the money for it. So they're asking us if you can provide for us, so that when the time comes for me to give birth, I'll go with these things. And maybe the CHPs can confirm this because we have them here. And we have done this in the community, Kariobangi community. Also, we did it like 2 weeks ago, where we provided women with cotton wool and maternity pads. This is the reality on the ground, and maybe they can confirm this for us, so that we...
Well, I mean, Odongo is sitting next to you. He works with maternal, and also Catherine is there as well. So maybe we can hear from both of you as well.
Yes, that is very true. when it comes to expectant women, they need these essentials to use during delivery. Now, apart from the contribution they need to pay in the hospital, they need to have these things with them. And that is also trickles down to the finances they need to have with them. So, about the chamas, it's a perfect, brilliant idea. But it may not always be the case, because most people live from hand to mouth. Even the little they get to feed the family, they need to maybe spare and keep for this. Pregnancy is about 9 months. Sometimes you live with a person who is not well off. They don't have income, and therefore you are basically yourself. So you need to have these things ready by the time you are delivering. So it is difficult. And basically I've heard also recently that many children have been detained in hospitals because of the huge bills. So if the delivery comes, you have to go and deliver whether you don't have any money with you or not. So once you have delivered, you see, they will keep you there until somebody comes along and maybe settles your bill. So it is still a problem for many women.
Yes, ma'am.
Asante. Kuhusu, nitaongea juu ya vile daktari amesema vyama. Hakika hata tukifanya vyama ni vizuri, but we shall not cover the whole community. Juu kuna wale watu wa chini kabisa. Kama sisi community health promoters, tuna end up by, wewe unakula kwako, maybe umestruggle, umepata yako, umekula. And your household neighbor to you, akona watoto, na hata hawezi raise 20 bob.
20 shillings?
Yes. Kuna watu vulnerable, totally vulnerable. Mtu kama huyo tiari atabaki nje, hataweza hiyo chama. Wale tu tutaweza ile chama, huenda ni wale watu wako well off kidogo, wale ambao tunaona hata 6,000 per year, it's a lot. Sasa hiyo hatuta cover the whole community. Juu kuna watu wale hawana kabisa. Kabisa ukiona, unaona hana. Mpaka anaenda kutafuta huko chakula nyimetupwa huko anakula. Mtu kama huyo hata 20 bob hawezi.
Na watoto?
Pia analeta tu hiyo, kama amepata. Kama ametoka, watoto pia wametoka, wameenda. Unaona sasa situation kama hiyo ni ngumu. Nikikuja kwa mama wajawazito, ni ukweli. Hakuna hizo pads, hakuna hizo cotton wool. Wewe CHP mwenye uko na household yako, unapeleka mama pale. Hapo nyuma vile kumekuanga hata na hiyo linda mama, utagaramia. Utajua vile huyo mama atatoka kwa nyumba, hata kama ni saa ngapi. Kwanza security wise, umpeleke hospitali, ujue vile atajifungua. Hautamuacha huko na mdambu mpaka ujue vile atatoka arudi kwa nyumba. Hata kama akona watu wake, utasaidia. Sasa ikifika hapo kwa cotton wool na nini, kama hana, you will provide kama health promoter.
You will provide from where?
Wewe sasa, wewe utajua juu hii ni kazi yako. Tumekubali. Tumekubali kufanya kazi ya community. Kitambo tulikuwa tunaitwa volunteers. But sasa ndio community health promoter juu ya stipend kado. Hiyo 3500. 3500 hata mimi mwenyewe siwezi jilipia hiyo SHA. Nifanye yale yanatakikana, na ni obvious 100 households 3/4 maybe hawajiwezi vile tu mtu anaweza kujisustain. Alafu kitu kingine, daktari
unapatiwa 3500 per month.
Yes, stipend.
Ndio stipend mnapatiwa.
Yes.
And you're working every day.
4 hours.
Mtu akikuita saa 8
utaamka. Yes. Utaamka.
So kwa hiyo yote hiyo fare itakuwa ni yako.
Wewe ndio utajua vile huyu household wako atafika hospitali, na uwezi waacha, uwezi lala.
Na akihitaji hiyo pamba na hiyo pads,
utapeana saa hiyo juu wakati hiyo maybe ni hiyo household yenye iko vulnerable kabisa. Hakuna hata mtu wake utaenda kusema leta. Utabeba hiyo mzigo. Alafu kitu kingine ni challenge haswa mimi nimepitia. tuko na watu kutoka nchi za nje kama Uganda, Tanzania. Mtu amekuja Kenya, ni household yako, hana ID, hana chochote, maybe ako na mimba. Ni challenge pia. Ukienda pale hawezi register SHA, hawezi fanya nini, ako tu hapo na anataka usaidizi kutoka kwa CHP.
Can I just
please because
you see,
okay, yes please sir.
Unaona hii kazi ya CHP ni kazi ngumu sana. Kile wenzangu wamesema hapa ni kweli, tunapitia hali ngumu because unapata uko na hizo households pale, services kwa zile public hospital zile ambao tumekuwa attached kama CHBs, unapata vitu zingine hakuna. Ukipata kama huyo mama ambaye ni mjamzito anaenda kujifungua, amefika pale ajifungua, yes maybe akona uwezo wa kulipia hiyo SHA, atalipia, but at the end of the day pia kuna pesa atalipa. Unapata SHA inalipa nusu kama amelazwa, na yeye kuna ile pesa analipa, SHA ilipi yote. You see? Na kwa sababu ya those challenges, alafu pia zile services kwa zile hospitali, zile facilities ziko low. Kuna vitu hakuna kama hizo umesikia hawa. Kuna mmoja nilipeleka nikashangaa, na ni usiku saa 9 usiku, nimepeleka mama kajifungue. It's serious. Naambia ni kwanza nitafute gloves za daktari.
Ngoja. Unaenda hospitali?
Napeleka
ama kuna mali nyingine? Hospitali.
Napeleka mama kajifungue. Unaona? Na ako amebakisha tu masaa. Nimeitwa saa 9 ya usiku. Nimetafuta gari, nimeomba jirani gari akanisaidia tukapeleka. You see? Kufika pale hospitali, kitu ya kwanza daktari anakuambia hana gloves. Just gloves.
Ni saa ngapi?
Saa 9 usiku.
So ukatafute gloves saa 9.
Sasa nitafute gloves. Kwa bahati nzuri kuna wakati tulikuwa tumepatiwa gloves kwa nini zetu. Ikabidi nirudi kwa nyumba nikalete zangu.
Huyo mama sasa yako wapi? Amewachwa hapo.
Sasa ako pale, daktari anagoja nimletee gloves ndio aanze kazi. You see? So tunapitia mambo mingi na tunapata kwa saa hii namba ya wale watu wanatibiwa kwa hospitali za serikali imerudi chini. Wengi wamepotelea kwa my ministries because pale watu sana sana kwa hizi vijiji zetu unapata yule mtu ambaye anategemewa pale maybe ni mama mzee ana kazi, na yule mama kazi yake ni kufua, anafanya kazi ya kutafuta kufulia watu. Hata ipata kila siku. Ile familia iko na watoto 3 wote wako shule. You see? So ukitokezea shida ya afya, hiyo shida inarudi kwa CHP, yule mwenye ile household. Na before ukienda pale kwa ile household umeitwa, before aanze kuongea jambo lingine, labda ni mtoto mgonjwa, unapata maybe yule mtoto ile ushida ako nayo ni kukosa kula vizuri, amekosa chakula, maybe ni mtoto wa under 2 years, amekosa ile chakula bora. So magonjwa, shida ni kukosa kula. Sasa utaanza pale kwa chakula. Huyu naona na ile stipend ni 3500.
So
you see, so hii mambo ya SHA at least Linda Mama ilikuwa inatuokolea. At least Linda Mama ilikuwa inatuokolea sana sana sisi ma CHP. Because ilikuwa inaturahisisha kazi. Hata kama utasaidia au utasaidia kama sahi. Sasa unaitwa mahali unaanza kwa kununua unga kabla mfike hospitali. Unaanza kwanza kununua unga, unapata hata hiyo nyumba maji ya mtungi 5 shillings hawana.
Oh come on.
You see? So imekuwa kazi ngumu sana sisi kwetu. Unaanza pale kwa nyumba, ndio chukua hatua sasa ndio utabeba mama upeleke hospitali. Hao watoto watakula nini? Ukifika hospitali kuna challenges. Unaweza kaenda pale ule mama atibiwe ama ule mtoto atibiwe, atoke at the end of the day. Akitoka kuna dawa kuna huko ameandikiwa.
kuna dawa kuna wapi?
Hospitali hakuna dawa.
Please, daktari, I'm sorry.
Unaona? Ukitoka pale hiyo dawa wewe ndio unapatiwa kadi. Huyu mtu uliacho umenunua maji na umenunua unga moja na sukuma mbili kwake ndio umekuja hospitali. Tena pale kuna
uliwacha chakula kwa nyumba ndio watoto wakule ndio mama apeleke hospitali. Yes. Na akifika kwa hospitali unaambia uende ulete gloves number 1, hakuna dawa.
Unaona? So unajiangalia unaona sasa hata kumpeleka hospitali kazi ya bure kama hawezi kupata dawa. Unabidi wewe tena uhangaike ununue. Uanunulie. Hizi dawa. You see? Yani
maybe so what I can say as you can see and the numbers they are giving are true. From the data we have SHA data. This is our own data at level 2 and level 3. Private hospitals and mission hospitals are accounting for 79% of all visits. So it means that Kenyans who are going to public hospitals are only about 20-21%. The data at SHA actually shows this. And what this says is that at the lower level, at level 2 and level 3, where most of our CHPs are attached, that the county governments have literally shut down. They have let us completely down. And it goes against the rhetoric that we hear from the politicians who are saying that public hospitals, the amount of money they have received under SHA, they have never seen since independence. Now, when you go to actual public hospitals, you don't see the money. And we are wondering, we passed one of the laws, the Facility Improvement Fund Act, which was supposed to make sure that even your level 2, even your level 3 can open a bank account, and when they see patients under SHA, that money is supposed to come back to that facility. But what we have seen in many counties, that the level 2 facilities and the level 3 facilities do not have critical supplies, which means they are not receiving the money that was promised under the law. And I know what has happened. A lot of these counties, they see patients at level 2 and level 3, but the account number that they have given to SHA belongs to the Department of Health. So all the money that's supposed to be coming directly to the level 2 or level 3 bank account never gets there. So this is
that's why you will go there and they will tell you to bring gloves.
There will be nothing. Let me give you another shocking statistics. Out of the money that SHA has paid out, 40% of the money of SHA has paid out has gone to specialized services. You know, and this specialized, I'm talking about orthopedic surgery, general surgery, neurosurgery, urology surgeries. Now, how many hospitals are seeing those specialized services? Only 28% of claims are
specialized care,
specialized services. So 28% of claims are eating 40% of the money. Yet our level 2 and level 3 hospitals don't have resources.
And the level 2 and level 3 are actually taking up the bulk percentage of the ailments that people are presenting to hospital with?
Bulk of patients.
And the money not going
every time we see our politicians visit hospitals, you never see a picture of them at a health center. You never see a picture of them at a dispensary. You always see a picture at the referral hospital,
and the few people
at the big private hospital with very nice cameras and nice things. But they never go down there where the services are actually being accessed. The other thing I would mention, do you know SHA right now has a funding deficit, as I said, of about 3 billion shillings a month. If we just reduce the contribution to 300 bob per person and we got 10 million Kenyans to pay, we have no gap. So why are we insisting that the contribution has to be something unaffordable? We can put it down, make it affordable, more Kenyans will be able to pay, and we will be able to meet the funding deficit. I also want to put this challenge to especially the county governments. Under the NHIF, and I really hate it that politicians have been spending the last few months just telling us how NHIF was bad. And yet most people know it had challenges, but there were some things it was doing well. For example, Linda Mama was great. Okay, for example, Edu Afia for children who go to school was fantastic. We had the orphans and vulnerable and elderly people package, indigents, wale wazee ambao walikuwa wanalipiwa. That was fantastic. Yeah, even what's the even the UHC was perfect. So there were a lot of good things, and we told them keep these things.
I just want some clarification just from some of you here. Under Linda Mama, wamama walikuwa wanaingia hospitali kujifungua bila malipo.
Sasa wakati walinda mama kulingana na sisi ile vile kwa ground kuiko, wakati walinda mama every month maybe kwa wa unit, hata ripoti ya hospitali mali huwa tuna report mama alikuwa anajifungua, but now unapata Nyeri mama akajifungulia private, unapata mama uko naye kwa household ako na mimba, lakini wakati wa kujifungua ukifika hata utajua maybe aende nyumbani akajifungulia nyumbani kienyeji ama apelekwa private, kwa sababu ya zile challenges ziko wapi kwa zile hospitali za serikali.
Okay,
let's hear from Wakili here.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm not really a medical practitioner, but from what I'm getting from our panel here together with our daktari, I'm just wondering, was this system that we're told that was worth 100 billion plus? Was it worth it at such a time? Because probably could have improved our maternal health care. We could have improved the welfare of our community providers. We could have done something with equipping the hospitals. And come to think about it, this was rather a very rushed system. You know, it's whereby something is thrown to your face, so you're still trying to figure out, ini kiti hospitali, you know, what is it, what does it do, and all that. There was very minimal consultation. Just from basing my arguments on what he has said, there was very minimal consultation that were done, because I believe that some of the things that we are saying, even the gap that you need to pay 1 year before, we could have at least have had a chance to sit down with medical practitioners and experts and ask them, how can we be able to cross over from NHIF to SHA, and also like be able to cater for these kind of gaps, so that we don't have people coming out and saying, if you cannot be able to pay for 1 year, you cannot be able to access medical services. You could also feel that some of the things also that we are SHA is going through, there are things that can be dealt with if at least the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health sits down with the real people on the ground and gets to understand, rather than just politicking.
Okay.
But anyway, they told us that they passed it for the president. So I mean, we're not surprised.
We're not surprised.
We understand.
Doctor, because our time is running out and there's still so much to talk about. But I often have to ask the question that the vanguards of these policies, the vanguards of these processes, these stories that we're hearing today, are they aware that there's no medicine? If you go, they're telling you must go buy your medicine somewhere else, that you must go find gloves at 3 a.m., that a mother cannot get into the halls of a hospital to deliver because she's not paid. Do they know that this is the real situation for 79% of hospital visits? 79% of hospital visits are in this cadre of level 1 and 2. Number 2, I don't know what the other statistics are in terms of exact numbers, but a majority of people who are going then are also not able to afford, because medicine is not available. You're told to go somewhere else, and because you've not paid, you then will not get the attention that you need. Do they know?
They know. In fact, some of them are even texting me here saying, you have said this. They're even listening to the show. So they know. They know that, for example, level 2 and level 3 hospitals are not getting sufficient funding. They know. They know, for example, that they have been paying ghost hospitals. They know. This is a reality. If you look at the payment, and we've pointed it out to them, that, by the way, this hospital you are paying here doesn't exist, this one doesn't exist, this one doesn't exist, this one doesn't have, and the good hospitals that are actually existing are not getting money. This is what I would say and do, that the government needs to do very basic things. If Kenyans go to hospitals and they find hospitals have drugs, they have equipment, and they have motivated staff, Kenyans will contribute.
Yep.
This is the point. They need to understand that the only party in this system that is holding SHA together is the healthcare workers, from the CHPs to the nurses, to the doctors, to the health centers. If that group stops supporting the system will collapse. So the reason why the system is working is because of sacrifices by CHPs, sacrifices by nurses, sacrifices by hospitals that continue to treat people despite receiving no payment and having no... The day those people say enough is enough, the whole thing, the emperor will be naked. And this is why when we come out and say, you need to make sure that our hospitals have resources, it is for the sake of the Kenyan patient, because we can see what Kenyan patients are experiencing. It is not fair for Kenyan patients to go to hospitals and have to carry cotton. Okay, and when we say, why is the hospital not having cotton? Cotton costs money. Why is it that the money is not being released by our county governments, our national governments, to make sure that our hospitals have funds? It's because of politicization. So, I mean, if you ask, why would we spend 104 billion on a digital system that still pays fake claims? Does that make any sense? Why would we be saying we are spending 200 billion on equipping the biggest hospitals which already have everything, and yet our health centers and level 2s don't have basic commodities? It's because we are used in this country to making decisions based on which vendor is going to get paid.
And unfortunately, we cannot allow lives to continue to hang in the balance. We hate to end this show like this, whereby we're sending folks back into an existence that is so difficult. But it was necessary for us to talk like this. It's necessary for us to air these things and give the real situation on the ground. Thank you, each and every one of you, for making it Spice Baraza this morning. Thank you for sharing and being honest and open. It is our hope that things get better, but we have to bring them out in the open. Thank you for talking with us this morning, each and every member of the panel. Dr. Brian Lishenga, thank you also for being here.
Thank you.
And for never flailing in the position.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of you, for keeping it the Situation Room this morning and for keeping the conversations open. Righteous continues to 10:minutes. Good morning.
Good morning. This is the news wire. I'm Leah Obaga. The Makueni County Department of Education has been ordered to take action against a teacher accused of punishing a pupil by caning him